Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 17th of December 2020. This is Gap, episode 547. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab is back. Big shout out to
back,
Kleb,
baby.
who filled in last week. I really appreciate that a lot.
Klebomedy.
Yeah. But we got Joab back for the last, I guess our last regular show of the year before we do our Game of the Year show.
Very true. Hey, I listened to that podcast.
Yep.
That'll be the third The Gap episode that I've listened to.
Okay. So that would be the first one you listened to? The one you edited?
Yeah. No, I didn't listen to that. When you guys did the questions,
yeah,
my question was supposed to be, like fun and funny, and you guys gave a real fucking bummer. The bum steer. You gave it the raw prawn.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, you guys were all like, oh, geez, I didn't know about this. Oh, well, fucking let's bum everyone out. I'm like, all right. Yes, my dad is in the hospital, but like it was supposed to be cheering. It was a stitch up. I was trying to stitch clever, but you guys took it seriously. And that was a mistake. That's all I'm saying. That's my only feedback is.
Otherwise, it was the second best podcast we've ever done.
Yeah. Other than that, but yeah, awesome. it was good stuff. I'm very grateful to Clip for stepping in.
Yep.
I love the idea. Like we used to have guests all the time and stuff. I love the idea of getting guests on to chat about stuff, and yeah, one of the things I want to revisit in 2021. See about doing that some more. Anyway.
It's just about coaxing people into being here at 9 o'clock in the morning in Australian time,
right? I had a Christmas party last night, and I'm not loving life right now. Holy fuck! Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. Oh yeah, we need you to be on at 9 a.m. on a Thursday for, let's say, probably half a workday. Probably about half a workday. Can you make that?
Yeah.
No? Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, we can try. We can ask around. You can't be paid for it because we don't make any money here. So
yeah, we don't want to.
We used to be able to pay people in like snacks and alcohol, things like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Now it's now everything's remote, so a little bit more challenging. We pay people in what do they call it in like exposure, right? So they
exposure bucks.
Yeah, those good old exposure dollars that you can give to your landlord.
Exactly. It's pure cash money, baby. So anyway, first thing I want to talk about this week is that Couriers, please, can suck my dick. Holy fuck, man. I should be speaking to you. You should be rendered in glorious RTX on fucking ray traced DLSS glory right now.
HDR.
Full HDR.
144 frames.
Somehow barely scraping through at 100, except unless you're in Cyberpunk, where it's probably about just 44 frames. And yeah, all of it. Or I should have a 3080 right now installed. Maybe not installed. That might be a whole other thing at this point. I've been reading up, but I've got an MSI, the Supreme X, on its way. And there's a decent chance that the SATA port placement on the motherboard, on my motherboard, directly conflicts with the Supreme X.
Yeah. Who needs those? Don't need them. M2 drives all the way. Just rip that SATA port out.
Right, just fucking, I'll get a hammer. Hammer that shit away.
Get off.
But yeah, it hasn't arrived. It was supposed to picked up from Melbourne, overnight delivery, and it has now been, today is 7 days. 7 days for overnight delivery. I called them up. I'm dead serious. I'm 100% legit. They're like, but surely you can understand with Christmas, with the holidays, we have delays on our deliveries. I'm like, and I people say, oh, and then I said, and I was like, oh, fuck you, bitch, right? I didn't say fuck you or anything like that. I did say, I understand that you took on more work than you're capable of fucking handling, but that's not my problem, right? And they were like, oh, well, with the holidays. I'm like, I don't care. I want a refund. I paid you for fucking overnight delivery. Like, well, now it's been picked up, we can't do a refund. I'm like, cool, well, I'll just fucking charge back. I'm as far as I can tell, this is fraud. You haven't delivered anything at this point. So if you're not going to pay out my insurance, I'm just going to do a chargeback, and we'll see what happens from there. They're like, oh, we don't recommend doing that before the product arrives because it may never show up. And if you do a chargeback, then the insurance you paid for will not cover it. And I'm like, but so I should do it after the product? Hold up. Wait. So how are you telling me I should do the chargeback after the thing shows up, if it ever fucking shows up at this point? It might not show up until December 22, which will have been at that point like 10 fucking days.
Yeah. So someone's walking is what I'm hearing. They're carrying, like physically carrying your package from Melbourne.
I would walk 500 miles. Yeah, basically. But it's infuriating. I mean, yeah, installing a new graphics card is never an easy thing. This thing needs 3
slots. Yeah.
3 power fucking plugs.
Oh, okay.
3 power plugs.
Like 3 slots? Is it like 3 PCI slots at this stage, or is it still 2?
No, no. It'll take over 2.
Yeah,
like very easily. I think
mine takes over 2. Yeah.
Like it'll be encroaching on the 3rd. But yeah, no, 3 power plugs, 3 8-pin power plugs, 8-pin, 6-pin, 6-pin power plugs, and it comes with a support bracket to hold it in place so that all the weight isn't on the PCIe slot.
Yeah, right.
And because of the layout of the MSI SATA ports, there's a halfway decent chance you can't actually plug it in all the way unless you knock out some SATA ports. But in my review on OzGamers of this motherboard, I specifically and directly complained about the placement of those SATA ports. So I'm feeling like if it is actually blocked, I'm feeling like the best games reviewer. Turns out he's the best tech reviewer as well, baby.
But honestly, these days, who needs a case? Just set it up on your carpet. Just the whole thing.
Straight on the carpet. Why would I even bother any other way?
Yeah.
You're
just restricting yourself by having a case these days.
The Liang Li, right, is it's basically, I told you that I didn't get enough case fans when I first put it together, right? Did I talk about this?
I'm not sure.
I didn't get enough case fans, and I basically created a oven, like a convection oven, because the fan, right, was like the CPU fan was hammering out fucking hot air, and the only way for it to get out was basically through the top. But it was just sort of through thermal venting. It was just sort of like hot air rises and it will get out eventually. But because of the fan on the CPU and the fan on the fucking GPU, it was sort of just circulating throughout the fucking. So after my computer was on for like 8 hours, it just started to like naturally overheat. I'm like,
slow cooking.
I've fucked this one up. I've really fucked this one up. But I managed to fix it. It's got fucking 11 fans, 11 case fans now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like you need more. You'll be getting 3 more once the graphics card arrives, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right, like plenty. But if I have to go to the reason I brought this up is because 3 of the fans are on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because there's the case itself is it's brilliant, but yeah, it's mostly constructed for like full liquid cooled setups, like liquid cooled graphics card and CPU setups, the whole fucking deal. But if you don't go for that, then you can, I've got like fans on the bottom of the case to vent through the lower area because it draws directly, the fucking graphics card faces the bottom and then hammers its heat out. And I think it hammers it out up. Anyway, so it's drawing air in. Don't worry, I do have them configured correctly to. I worked this. Look, like I said, there was a Christmas party last night. I may be still
a bit slow.
May still be a little drunk. Yeah, I would have to like if this 3080 doesn't fit on the motherboard. Apparently, the only alternative is to vertical install the fucking thing. And I will have to do something about those lower case fans because the vertical install will go basically where those fans are. So I might have to switch over to liquid cooled, which isn't something I'm terribly interested in doing because I'm not gonna overclock. I've said this every single time I've built a new PC. I've been like, oh yeah. And I'll just overclock it when it starts to slow down. And every single time, 6 years pass, I'm like,
time for an upgrade.
I'll just buy a new fucking computer.
Yeah, tax time. My graphics card is starting to get quite noisy that I've noticed. In a few games that I've been playing recently, and so a couple of weeks back, I actually took it out of my case. Gave it a good old dust off with the air gun, air compressor, and then chucked it back in, and it's still like making some noise. It's possible that it's always just been doing this. I just haven't noticed it as much, but it's gotten to the point now where it spins up, and it basically, once it gets to about 80 degrees in the temperature sensor, it like doubles the fan speed. It goes from like 2,000 up to like 4.5, 5, and it makes some noise. But the thing is, it's not like a slow increase of like, oh, we should turn this thing up a little bit. It's just like fucking double, let's go. And then you end up with it being very loud, and it winds up and winds down. So it gets that threshold of 80, and then it's like 78, and it cuts back down to like 2,000. It's like 79, 80, and then it goes again. I'm like, what is going on? And so I looked into this, and it's just a thing that they do. And I've tried installing like MSI Afterburner and configuring the fan increments that way, and that just doesn't seem to be doing as much. I've tried a bunch of things, but it just gets really, it's just noisy all of a sudden. Like that is the one thing about my case that is making a lot of noise, because I've got a water-cooled CPU, which is completely quiet. It is you can't hear it, the computer's on. But as soon as I start playing game, like that graphics card fan just is like, let's do it. Let's go.
It's time to make some. So on a scale of jet engine to PlayStation 4, where does it sit?
It's up there. Yeah. Like it's trying to compete with the PlayStation 4 playing The Last of Us Part 2. It's trying. But the thing is, the PlayStation is sort of consistent. Like it'll get there and it revs for a while, whereas this is sort of like it'll rev for about 10 seconds and then cut off. And then you won't hear about it again until you like pause the game and go into a menu, and then all of a sudden it fucking kicks up and you're like, there's nothing on the screen. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand this. So yeah, it's just, I guess because I've been playing more games on my PC recently that I've started to notice it a bit more, because it's happening like Cyberpunk, Assassin's Creed, couple other games that I've been playing recently. I'm like, you're starting to get a bit noisy there. But that's just the way those cards work. It sounds like, from what I can read on the internet. It's just weird that there's no like gradual increase. It's just like max or nothing. Anyway,
yikers.
That seems like a good segue though, talking about building PCs and having monster computers, and also getting guests on, Joab. Because this week we had two fantastic guests join us to talk about Xbox's cloud gaming and what they're kind of doing in that field. So yeah, two really awesome people that you've probably seen in places like Xbox's Inside Gaming shows and on the stage when they do E3 events and big conferences. So we had Kareem Choudhry on, the corporate vice president of Gaming Cloud, and Catherine Gluckstein, the general manager and head product for Xbox Cloud Gaming. And basically for about 35 minutes, they talked to the both of us about their cloud solutions, which they've been rolling out in a lot of places now. It's also currently
just come to Australia, pretty recent.
Yeah, just roll out to Australia, which is part of the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, right? You can use it with your Xbox Game Pass and then play games on your tablets and phones and soon to be, I guess, Windows PC as well. They just recently announced that.
Like via your browser. Look, if we shill anything on this fucking podcast, it's fucking Xbox Ultimate. Holy fuck, man. We're all in on that shit. But I was fucking stoked that we got the opportunity to talk to these guys, and I think the interview is pretty good. So it is. I don't know if it'll shake out to 35 minutes. I think it'll probably be about 30, but just with we won't make you listen to our dumb fucking small talk. But it's a good chat. Kareem and Catherine, they I felt like they were on message, on message to start off with, and then they weren't by the end. They were just having a chat, which was good. I mean, it wasn't full the gap in that I didn't drop a C-bomb, but other than that, it was just a good chat about xCloud and how it's working out and how they're growing the concept. I learned fucking loads in that chat alone, because I think I said it right at the end, we have this narrow idea of what xCloud is, what it's good for, and my narrow idea of it is playing Xbox games on the bus, right? And anything outside of that, I'm like, I don't really fucking, I don't even conceive of it. But Kareem's talking about fucking playing couch co-op, basically.
With someone else, rather than having two TVs, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, that is fucking genius. And the other applications that they're doing with it, are fantastic. And yeah, like I hadn't even fucking mentally considered, and it's such a separation from what other cloud based like gaming solutions are doing. Because if you look at Stadia is my narrow window, my narrow picture of what cloud gaming is. It is, oh yeah, so you can play a game without having the fucking PC, right? Yeah. That's it. That's what it is. But xCloud, yeah, they're like actively trying to fucking do or make it so you can do basically whatever the fuck you want with it, which is awesome. And yeah, if you've got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which if you listen to this podcast, you probably fucking do, because we never shut the fuck up about it. Yeah, you can like it's available in Australia now, so you can fucking do it now. You can play couch co-op and shit. It's fucking cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we had a good chat with them. We'll probably drop that in right now. It goes for about, like Joab said, 30 minutes. Definitely have a listen to it, because I think it's I think it's a great interview. Well, not even an interview. We're just kind of having a chat.
I'll sound less hungover. So.
Yeah, right. And then on top of that, I guess you and I have talked about this before. Like this is something we'd like to do more of. We've tried to do this a couple of times, and so if people do enjoy it, let us know, and we'll try and line more of these sorts of things up. But
I mean, we've done it a couple of times this year, and I think they've always worked out pretty good. You know, like we did for Kareem as well, and that chat was fantastic. And like
Monster Train, when we talked to the designer over on that game, it's been like these two people, Catherine and Kareem, obviously like massive bigwigs over at Xbox. And for whatever reason, we got a well, I guess we found out after the fact, but we were kind of the first people to talk to them since they announced some new support that's coming to the service. And so we had somewhat of an exclusive. Hopefully, maybe it still will be by the time this goes up. But yeah, there's definitely some exclusive stuff in here that you can listen to. And let us know. Let us know what you think. But we'll be right back after this interview. Or casual chat, with some Cyberpunk, because that's what people are definitely interested to hear about. So stay tuned.
Hey guys, hey Joab, you're on mute if you didn't know, on Teams. Luke, good to see you.
You too.
Hey, yeah, how's that? That looks better.
It's always fun to go from watching people on YouTube to actually talking to them in person. So I'll get over my starstruckedness really quickly.
Oh, you. Thanks for joining us.
It's fun to be here.
I wish we were doing all this in person. And no offense, Luke, but I would prefer to be with Joab versus down in the bay. I've been too many times, but
it's been raining the last couple of days, so probably better in Australia right now. It's cold as well.
I don't know. It's been it was like 40 last week. So what does that translate for you guys? 110 or something? I don't know. Like it's been hot. It's
been hot that early.
Yeah. What? It's we're mid-December. I mean, it's been
it's
about a couple of 41s. Okay. Yeah. We're not in March anymore.
This Joab summer solstice is upon us.
That's fair then. Wow, 40. That's too hot.
Yeah.
No, it's disgusting.
Okay. So just to kick things off, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to talk to us. We really appreciate it. xCloud has obviously just launched in a couple of places around the world, and Australia specifically we're going to be talking about today. But what are, I guess, some of the challenges in launching a service like xCloud in Australia, where it is such an enormous country, but at the same time, like a lot of the population is sort of scattered around the coastal lines, and people don't really understand how big of a country it is until you actually get here. And I'm guessing there are sort of challenges that come with that because the population is so spread out. Like, is Is that something that's kind of surprised you guys, or like what sort of approach did you take when looking at places like Australia?
Well, the first thing I would say, Luke, is that launching anything during this time of, the coronavirus and travel being limited, we've found to be extremely hard. So you got a whole layer of challenges there. So we were incredibly proud to launch the preview in Australia and have people participate. In terms of the country itself, Catherine and I, we really have the benefit of just drafting behind all the work that Azure and Microsoft have already done in region. We have a number of different regions that are up there, Australia East, Australia Southeast, et cetera. So the amount of time and energy and architecture that's been put into, serving the customers of Perth by Microsoft already, we just get to kind of come in and leverage and sit on top of all of that. Catherine, I'll hand to you to say more as well.
Yeah, no, it's, essentially we want to bring xCloud everywhere, and we know what a great gaming nation Australia is. So it was always really important to us. But as you rightly say, there were concerns on the internet. We wanted to make sure the testing was done to the level that we felt confident in rolling out. And we took our time to get there, and we think the experience is pretty good. And fortunately, the people who've joined preview also think the experience is pretty good and seem to be playing really very engaged. We're seeing very, very similar games to what we've seen in other parts of the world, except for, I think, Cricket 19, not surprisingly maybe, but that's a big game in Australia. But otherwise, it's kind of what you would expect. So it's just been fascinating for us to learn as we go through these, different iterations and just meet everybody where they are with xCloud.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Is there anything in particular you guys play on xCloud?
Well, obviously we're on the team, so I'm playing every day. So there's kind of like my normal gaming habits, and then what am I especially enjoying on xCloud? I've been playing Sea of Thieves, Human Fall Flat, Minecraft Dungeons, Gears 5, Grounded. I use xCloud to create couch co-op scenarios with my family members in the home. So games that weren't designed for couch co-op, I just, I fire up streaming from the cloud, and, we've got a couch co-op game just immediately happening. So I'm doing, I'll say, a combination of hummingbirding all over the place. Like I didn't play Hellblade when it came out. I completed that game exclusively via the cloud. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah, no, I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons as well. I don't know if you've tried it with the touch controls. It's really cool, works really nicely. Play that along with my kids. Also The Tourist, which has been a game that I kind of discovered as part of xCloud, which is kind of got me a little stumped right now, to be honest, but that's been really interesting. And of course, the other thing that we're doing is we are beginning to test our browser and what that feels like. So we're just testing, we announced that just last week, so we're testing a lot within that. So we're just having a lot of fun as a team.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to hear what you guys are enjoying via xCloud.
I've been playing The Tourist as well, because I got that alongside the Series X launch, and so that I feel like that's a game that really lends itself well to the format, like the small screen, but it's not, I guess, after decades of cutting edge technology in my computers and stuff, and whittling away every little bit of latency that between me and the computer. I now find myself drawn to these games that allow me to take a moment and think and work out what I'm going to do next, as opposed to that Twitch reaction type stuff where I get frustrated by my own failing. The latency between my brain and my fingers these days, let alone the latency between the controller and the computer. I know that's less of a I think it's amazing how well xCloud has done at reducing that, but it's just one of those, I think those things that will never leave me, that feeling, just moving from one monitor to another is that little bit extra, and you're like, I would have made that shot if I hadn't been lagging, the classic gamer excuse, blame everything on lag. But The Tourist is a fantastic game. For exactly what I'm surprised Sea of Thieves is working for you, although I love the idea of couch co-op using it. I think that's a great idea. I hadn't even thought of it like that. What about you, Luke? What are you playing?
Well, I guess I had the opportunity of checking out xCloud last year under an NDA, so I haven't actually told anybody about that. But so it's been interesting to sort of watch that sort of experience and how much it changed, and just and talking to people that have used it, especially in Australia, and seeing how well it actually does work. And then also on top of that, having the experience that Joab and I have had of looking at other products and services that other companies have tried to do, and sort of how they have tried to approach solutions like latency, which is probably maybe one of the bigger barriers that that services like this have is when you're looking at games like your extremely fast Twitch shooters and like Call of Duties, or even maybe like fighting games to a degree. Do you see like a varying degree of there are maybe certain types of games that are more appealing on the xCloud that you're trying to get into before some of those other games that require a bit more faster paced action and things like that?
What we've been doing is just been taking a very holistic approach. First of all, like, while I'm a gamer and I've worked in the game industry for over 2 decades, like, it's actually not for me to say to anybody how and where and when they should game. So if you look at our strategy, it's not about, us coming and telling you, hey, playing via the cloud is the best way and you shouldn't do anything else. Like, play however you want. If you want to play on the new consoles we just launched, love it, go for it. You want to play on your PC, do that too. If you want to play via the cloud, that's fantastic as well. And I think for different people, they're going to have different preferences in different situations. And, the parallels that really kind of light this up for me. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would watch an entire Netflix series on my phone or full movies on my phone and be really happy doing that, I'd say you were crazy. But what I find is that, when I'm not able or, willing to play on my console or my PC, playing via xCloud, kind of regardless of title, it's better than not playing at all. And I'm enjoying it because I have the choice to kind of go about and doing it. So we're not targeting specific titles. Like, if you look at the early previews we ran and what we actually have streaming via Game Pass Ultimate in other regions in the world, which is a place we intend to get to in Australia, you've got like the whole gambit of all the genres, all the types. We are not shying away from anything.
That point, it's really interesting that one of our most highly rated games is Killer Instinct. And we took the view that when we put content into preview, that we would put all types of content, just as Kareem said, so that we could see. And Destiny 2 has been one of our biggest played games all the way through everything that we've done. So just super interesting to see, how people are engaging just in different formats and where it's bothering them and where it's quite honestly not.
It's a really, like, the Killer Instinct in particular, I find to be such a interesting example of a game that you would think wouldn't work, but it winds up working quite well. Although it's one of those situations where fighting games in particular, half of them are still playing on CRT televisions. You go to like a fighting game tournament, and they're the guys still lugging in these giant TVs so they can play with the lowest latency possible. One thing that I wonder about xCloud is how do you get to a point where you can tell people, I don't know, phones these days, my phone has a cracked screen, but some of them have 120 hertz screens, or all these,
or like trying to convince people
levels
to use mice, right? Back when wireless mice became a thing, and people were really, really worried about that from a gaming perspective, being like, "Oh, I'm not really sure about that." It's the same sort of thing you're saying, right?
Yeah, right. Like, how do you find that one? Like, is it something that you guys feel you need to tell people to go for something over something else? The new Samsung Galaxy S21 or whatever has a 120 hertz screen, so it's better for xCloud, or this phone has a 90 hertz screen, so it's not quite as good. Or is that more something you just deal with in the scheme of it?
Yeah, we're not really looking to king build as we do this. I mean, if I were to pull this back to our vision of just enabling people to play the games they want with the people they want anywhere they want.
Yeah.
we have to be encompassing of the devices that they already have, whether it's the individual with a cracked screen or the 120 hertz screen. We are trying to make a service that runs well across all of them. We're focusing on a low bandwidth requirement, less than 10 megabits per second. On average, we're seeing less than 5. Working with all of the mobile operators and all of the Microsoft Azure infrastructure to make sure that that round trip loop is as good as it possibly can, having a wide variety of content. And you have the choice. If it works for you, please come and enjoy and play. And what works for you is going to be different than what works for Luke, which is going to be different from all the folks that you're talking about in Australia. And so I'm not sweating that I want everybody to go and do one thing. I'm just trying to invite people in. Please just come and enjoy the games. I mean, when it comes to games, it's the entertainment business. The number one metric should be people enjoying games. And I think a little bit less on the how, the what, the when. If someone's enjoying, great, I'm happy for you. That's what I'm here to enable.
A lot of games, you're talking about having people play whatever they want, having games, that are built for other systems working on xCloud natively. Are there any plans to make a game on the xCloud or for the xCloud that works on other things? The reverse, something built from the ground up for the xCloud or with xCloud in mind?
It's a great question. So we kind of took the road of let's start from our strength. And our strength is obviously AAA high fidelity games. And we built what we call internally a lift and shift strategy. So if you built the game for Xbox, it plays in xCloud. And that actually gives us the ability to play any game that has ever been built for Xbox. And then what we've started to do, and you've begun to see the beginnings of it with touch controls, but to build in what we call cloud aware technology. So that allows the game developer to know if their game is being streamed. Sorry, it's a hard word to say sometimes. Streamed. That that you can re-optimize the size of the font for the size of the screen, or some of the areas that we have around touch controls. So really looking at how you then optimize a game for the cloud environment. And then, as you rightly said, what is it when a game is built for the cloud? And we're starting internally, and even with some of our third-party developer friends, to have the discussions of what does the cloud enable, and what does it look like, and what games could you build when you're not constrained by the silicon? And then those games really open up the opportunity to build on the power of the cloud. So we definitely see that in the future. Very much all part of our journey as we bring Xbox to the cloud.
I love the idea of Minecraft Dungeons using touchscreen controls. I think it's such a, that's that extra hurdle. I think, the need for maybe you don't need a mouse. I feel like you do need a mouse, but maybe you don't need a mouse. I sometimes just prop my my phone against my keyboard and connect with the controller. But mostly you need a mouse. But with touchscreen controllers built in, I think that's phenomenal. 2020 has been a great year for accessibility in games. Has that informed or driven any changes in the way you guys build out your xCloud offering?
We're taking accessibility pretty seriously across all of Xbox. So, when you think about xCloud, it's not like some silo that's isolated from the rest of everything that we're doing. It's very holistic all across. So the fact that it's the same backend services, it's the same, kind of console UI, everything that we do for accessibility for our whole ecosystem, it kind of applies going forward. So, it's kind of like rising tide lifts all boats type approach.
Yeah, fair enough.
I wanted to just talk about, I guess, technology and sort of where gaming can evolve in the future, because I think I've been saying this for a while now, that the SSD is a massive game changer in terms of consoles and pushing games forward. But looking past that, I think after that we're going to see a lot of things coming forward with AI infrastructure and how that sort of will affect gaming. How do you sort of see AI evolving your product and service in the future? Because I know it's obviously being used in certain areas like enhancing image quality and dealing with latency and that sort of stuff. But are there any other interesting areas that you're looking at that you can use AI to benefit your software and solutions?
Yeah, AI is just transforming like every industry, especially technology industries, and gaming is no different. And I can take an answer to this question in two ways. I can take a very consumer-focused answer, or actually a very developer-focused answer. And I'm going to start with the developer, and maybe Catherine can cover the consumer side. From a development perspective, like developing a game is hard. It takes a tremendous amount of time and tremendous amount of resources. So we're exploring all kinds of things of like, how can we use AI to better validate the game before you get it, to detect things like, texture pops and so forth in an automated AI-based fashion, such that game developers can deliver in the end a better quality product to consumers. So there's like an almost unlimited field of opportunity when it comes to AI just in game development. We incubate a lot of those things with Microsoft Research within the broader Microsoft umbrella, with first-party, games that we're working on, and with third-party. So, it's a lot of that stuff is in the phase where not really at a place to talk about it publicly, but there's exciting things coming on the horizon when it comes to AI, and in consumer as well, which I'll hand to Catherine for that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, one of the things I really think about, and one of the tenets that I think Xbox has become known for is security. That when you play on Xbox, you're safe and secure. And that's something that we really use AI for, to really look at patterns in conversations. Just think of the number of voice and text conversations happening in real time, and really think about those patterns there so that we can really operate a very secure environment across all of these devices, across all of these ecosystems, and with hundreds of millions of gamers around the planet. That's really where we want to get to, and AI is absolutely mission critical in achieving that. And I think being able to talk securely in these environments and having a safe community is so important to empowering people to play. So that's something that I'm really excited about, with regards to AI.
One thing I was wondering about, family sharing hasn't made it to xCloud yet. Is that something that's on the horizon? Is that coming? Because I know, well, I mean, I don't have the best idea of how my family sharing system works on my Xbox Game Pass Ultimate already, but I believe I'm supposed to be able to let my wife play on the account, but I can't seem to get it to work. And all my Googling says it's not in xCloud yet. Is that something coming in the future, or is it just one of those things that is exclusive to the account holder?
Well, we're taking feedback on what is the intersection between family and our Game Pass subscriptions. So thank you for the feedback. In terms of what you can do today, you can anoint any console that you have as your home console. Yep. And then any account that logs into that console gets to benefit from the entitlements that you as an account owner have. So any digital purchases that you have, an Xbox Live Gold membership or a Game Pass Ultimate membership. So, from a console perspective, we do have that via the home console mechanism.
Oh, okay. So I've got her playing games on my account for the Achievos, to boost my score.
So say that to other people. That's part of what you keep saying. So we all think it's you getting the achievements.
Is she doing well for you?
Oh yeah. Oh, fantastic stuff. Games I've never
Can I
played.
get her on my account?
It's the perfect scheme. So if I get her to log in, perhaps that will, as opposed to having to log into my Xbox account on her phone, or I think that makes sense. You mentioned before the idea that you go into browsers. Has that posed any particular challenges that you didn't see coming previously, or was that always part of the roadmap?
Getting to every device was always part of our roadmap. We had this, there are great things about working at a large company, and one is that you can have really large ambitions, right? And our job, we see it, is to empower every person on the planet. We say, to be productive for the rest of Microsoft, but for Xbox, we say to play. And if we're going to get everybody to play, then we have to reach them where they are, right? We have to reach them on the devices they already own, because it's wonderful if you have your 65-inch OLED screen and and you have a few $100s to spare on a console, but that shouldn't preclude you from playing. So when we looked at the world and we looked at the different devices, we said, how could we test and learn? Because we know there's a ton to learn on this journey. And how would we do that best? So you saw in the first instance, we launched from an app. We really wanted to be able to sort of highly control different aspects of it. And then we very quickly said, but we want to come to more devices more quickly. We want to give more people the opportunity to play. And that was when we prioritized a lot of our sort of browser build, and the team's done incredible work on it. We went into the first stage that we go into internally is called Canary, and we went into Canary recently, and so we've all been testing, and it's a lot of fun.
It's obviously the primary goal is the access to the broader mobile market that browsers are value of. But is this also going to allow people to like play on their giant TVs and stuff like that, or is that sort of a unintended side effect?
No, I mean, if they want, people are taking things and playing where they want to now. I'll tell you what's so fun. We've just been playing with this thing for months on our teams. And like, we had this day where we were all playing as a team and someone said, oh, we want to play this game. They literally just dropped the URL link into the chat. We all clicked on it. We were all in the game. It was like, wham, this is a whole new way of playing together, right? It's so immediate. We were in there in a matter of seconds. So, you know, people are going to do different things with it. And in the end, we want to embrace what users are doing and just optimize for it.
And I guess awesome. that opens you up to a completely different market as well, because you're now going after people that, because I think you've said early next year will be coming to PC. And so now you're looking at people that may not have high-end PCs but are able to run things like standard apps to stream this stuff, and so now you're getting those consumers in, and so it must be really exciting to be able to be like, it's not just people that have Xboxes and are able to play like their games on an Android device or a tablet. Now you're being like, all right, we're bringing it to PCs and everything else. That's a huge market there.
Has that been a bit of a challenge? Like I guess, you know, I've noticed it even in our discussion today, right? Like me and Luke, or Luke and I, if you will, Luke and I have like sort of this very, I guess, narrow view of how you can use xCloud. I'm sitting here talking about latency, even though having played it, I know it's not that big a deal. Like I'm still stuck in that mindset, and like, we're talking about the ways, the few ways you might use xCloud, and you guys have all this other, I don't know, like knowledge about how people could use it. Is that something that has posed a lot of challenges? How do you get people to understand how broad you can go with xCloud? You know, how do you get that across to people?
You know, that hasn't been a challenge from the beginning. Like, that's been an accelerant, and it's been a source of inspiration. I mean, we are Xbox within Microsoft, so like, what is our global ambition? I'm not here to do anything small. You know, there's 3 billion gamers on the planet. What percentage of them have heard about Halo but have no ability to play them today? You know, I want to enable all of them to play, watch, create, and communicate together. So when we think about how do you go and you reach everyone, it's a combination of, you know, a ubiquitous browser experience. It's going to be applications on various platforms. So a lot of the discussion that Catherine and I and the other leaders in our team get to have is really not about should we go here, or should we go there, should we go do this, should we go do that, but what order do we lay it all out in? Because like I'm a little bit responsibly aggressive. Like, I'm going to show up and eat the entire buffet. This is about what's my plan of attack. You know, and I want everyone to have an opportunity to participate in the fun that is Xbox, to experience the characters, the worlds, the joy, the human connectedness that can come. And, you know, if we can provide more windows into that ecosystem, into their friends and their games in a way that's consistent and safe and reliable and secure, like that's what we're all about.
Yeah. You know, it is kind of mind-blowing, though, as you say. The other week we were sitting in a meeting with Phil, you know, who leads Xbox, and he'd been telling us he was playing Halo 5. You know, he was testing out on PC some of the work that we've done there. And he just was like, that this just blows me away. You know, this is such a good way to play. And, you know, this game was never built natively for PC. You know, it's just phenomenal when you start thinking of what this technology begins to open up. And in the end, it isn't the technology that matters. It matters what the consumers can take away and how they can enjoy it in ways that they'd never dreamed possible previously. And I think, we've seen that with other forms of media, with video, with music, with, etc. And for gaming to start going through some of this sort of transition, I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be part of this industry.
And we're seeing the gamers of Australia enjoy it right now. We get to watch the telemetry, we get their feedback, we see the sentiment that they provide to us. And from what we're seeing so far, they're rating the service and their experience highest amongst the 4 new markets that we launched in, which I think is, fantastic for the people there. And hopefully, Joab, that's matching the experience that you're having as well.
It is. Although, I do sort of wonder if there might be a minor bias in that gamers tend to have, or people who would sign up for the beta would tend to get the highest quality stuff when possible. So I wonder if that might be trending in that direction as well. They've got 5G phones, although Australia's 5G is 5G. We've got the better stuff in general. So and we are. I don't know. I'd love to see what would happen if you took it out to Alice Springs or something and went to see how well it'd go out there, because that's the crazy thing about Australia. That's the challenge I think you'll always run into down here is everything winds up being so spread out.
Yeah.
But
technology and trends are really on our side there. I mean, as we look at different regions of the world, and Australia is no different, I don't think anybody really argues that internet connectivity and bandwidth and availability is just increasing over time. It's kind of like the network version of Moore's law. So we are expecting that trend to continue, and a tremendous number of people in the country of Australia can have a great experience today via the cloud, just like they can streaming video. And that number of people that have that ubiquity of access, it's only going up over time.
Yeah.
Okay, we might quickly wrap things up because we don't want the PR people to start yelling at us. But just to kind of encapsulate everything.
We don't yell.
Okay. Kareem, I know in the past, and it's something that seems to be Xbox is very adamant about saying this, but xCloud is very much like a companion or a complementary service towards what Xbox is doing, and it's not something that is going to be replacing consoles. But I think inevitably that is something that may happen. I'm not talking about 8 years from now, 30 years from now, or somewhere in the future, because you look at the way even Catherine was talking about how the TV and film industry and streaming and the way we engage with media now, that has just gone ridiculous. But you also look at the music industry and how CD sales have declined, and vinyl has sort of come back. Two interesting sort of, one industry getting towards stream and the other one being we want the physical media because it sounds better. Do you guys feel like it's inevitable that streaming will be the front runner and sort of the home consoles will sort of take a bit of a backseat at some point? I'm not saying next generation, but eventually it's probably going to happen.
I think backseat it's just not a term that I would use.
Right.
I think of it more as how is it that people who want to engage. And if you look today, I mean, we just launched our consoles. There are people who love playing on their console. And I believe in the future, you're going to have people who grow up playing games from the cloud, and that'll be totally normal from them. Some of them will also expand out onto a console. Some will expand out onto PC. Some will start on one place and migrate. So I think more of the world of gaming of how do we connect people with the content that they love, with the people that they want to play with? And at the end, we can all sit back and look at the Venn diagram of who's playing where and migrating between the circles and which circle's bigger and smaller. It's the entertainment industry. How can we just invite you into play? How can we support you to play where you are, how you want to?
Yeah, in the end, it just comes down to choice, gamer choice. How do they want to play? And I think, we've all never probably had more different hardware in our house all up, just for different types of things. And we really just want to give gamers choice of how they play and when they play. But most of all, we want them to connect and play. Because, it's in 2020, it's all we've had to bring us all together, right?
It's very true.
Absolutely.
So you don't take the Christopher Nolan sort of view of there being very separate ways to enjoy media. I know he's not happy about some aspects of how the film industry is going. But that appears to be exactly what you want for xCloud. The ubiquity is right here in xCloud already.
Yeah, and I think there's room for all people. We're not building just one choice with it designed to be for everyone. We're building, something for, we're building options for everyone. And I love what Microsoft is doing when I think about the content that we have, the community that we have, and the cloud and Microsoft Azure, and combining those three in a way that I don't think can be easily matched by other competitors in the space. And I'm excited. I've been here working in gaming for a long time, bringing joy to as many people as possible, and using the cloud to do it is just such a natural evolution.
Yeah, we get to have fun, and hopefully you do too. And that means we'll have pretty cool jobs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to both of us. We really appreciate it. Yeah, and good luck with everything else in the future with xCloud. We're really excited to see what you guys can do to push gaming forward for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. So great to meet you.
Yes, thank you both. And Joab, next time let's do it in person on your okay.
That's an awesome idea.
Okay, so that was our conversation with Kareem and Catherine. So thank you to Xbox for teeing that one up. Greatly appreciate it. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that chat. So we might kick on. Speaking about Xbox related things, I might follow up with Call of the Sea, which I spoke about last week, which is available now on Game Pass.
You thought we were going to talk about Cyberpunk just because Luke was all like, "Oh, and we'll talk about Cyberpunk."
Yeah, but I forgot. Forgot the other one. So yeah, Call of the Sea is an adventure puzzle game in a first-person perspective where you're playing as a young lady who is on the lookout for her husband who has mysteriously disappeared on an island. And like I said last week, I was only a couple hours in and enjoying it for the most part. It had some really interesting puzzles where kind of putting pen to paper and figuring things out as you go along. And since then, I've now finished it. It's not a super long game. It only takes a couple hours to get through it. And I enjoyed it for the most part. I think it does go in some strange directions towards the end. It is very H.P. Lovecraftian storytelling and sort of the themes that it's diving into as things become more and more weird as you start working your way through this strange island and discovering its weird properties and what's going on there. And there are a couple of instances where some of the puzzles become a bit confusing and just, I guess, maybe not as thought out as well as some of the others. Like one of them I basically just brute forced because I had no idea what it was trying to tell me, which is kind of tricky with some of these games, because if like the idea is to try and make them a little bit challenging, but also when you solve them, kind of like, well, that's cool because I discovered that. Like you don't want it to be too easy, but also you don't want it to be too hard, and so it's a very fine line. And
well, like I guess we talk a lot about the language of puzzles, right?
Yeah.
And do you feel like it didn't teach you the language before it threw this puzzle at you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the game does it quite a bit where it's like you walk around and you look at objects within the environment and she'll write them down in her notepad as like a clue. And then eventually you've filled up this notepad with all these clues and they generally link to something else in the environment and you've got to piece them together and then solve the puzzle. But this particular puzzle, I just had no idea what it was trying to get at. Like,
did you go back afterwards and see if you could work out?
No, because I went online and looked up a guide afterwards, and I was just like, I looked up like 3 guides or something and a couple of YouTube videos, and the YouTube videos were clearly looking at a guide or had done it already, and we're not explaining how to get from point A to point B. They were just doing it, like showing you what you needed to do.
Right.
And then I've been doing a bit of reading this morning just before just some research. And yeah, it seemed like a lot of people were getting stuck on that puzzle and just not really getting to the point of like drawing the connection between the two.
Yeah.
And so I still don't know what I did to get through that one. And there was another one that was very similar where it kind of went over my head, and until I looked at a solution, I was like, all right, well, I guess this is the solution then. But otherwise, because I've talked about a few puzzle games on here before, and I think the Room VR does a pretty good, or even the Room 1 to 4, I think they're at the moment. I think that does a really good job of exploring puzzles and doing sort of like a gradual build up of introducing the player to new mechanics.
That language.
And by also having it be in these different areas, like you're not really confined to one space. It's sort of like an escape room. You finish one area and then you're on to the next area, and you got to try and figure out the thing behind it. And so I enjoy doing like those puzzle type games, and I think this one leans a bit more into the storytelling because it is trying to tell a story, and there is a lot of finding diaries and notes and audio logs and pictures of what's happened to this crew and exactly where your husband has gone and what's happened to him, and learning a bit more about yourself as a character. But I think it's got some work, a little bit of work to sort of fix that, and I wonder how they do it. I know they did release a patch sometime this week, but that was just to address some gameplay performance issues and that sort of thing. But otherwise, like, again, if you've got Xbox Game Pass, it's on there. You can play it on PC or console. Call of the Sea.
Sure.
Yeah, it's I think the cast is like, for some reason I'm thinking the name Sissy Jones. Is that a person?
I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
Spacek?
Sorry?
Sissy Spacek?
No. She's a really famous voice actor. Let me just think. I'm looking it up now.
I've got it. She's in Aliens Colonial.
Yeah, no, it is Sissy Jones.
2013 Game of the Year.
Yeah. And also Yuri Lowenthal, who is Spider-Man, Peter Parker, from the Marvel Spider-Man universe, and also Sunset Overdrive, another Xbox game. So, like, the voice cast is pretty good. And it's not a super long game. You probably get through it in like 4 hours, something like that. So if you're into adventure puzzle games and have something you're looking for over the Christmas break, then definitely have a look at that one, Called Sea, out now.
Nice.
Anyway, let's get to the big one of the year. So last week, Cyberpunk 2077 is obviously what we're talking about. Last week, I spoke about the review situation surrounding Cyberpunk 2077 and was speculating kind of about what was going on. And I feel like I was on point. I feel like I was very on point because you and I have done this rodeo for quite a while, and
we've been down this road before.
Yeah, and I think the points I brought up were that we're very selective about who was getting reviews, which outlets were getting reviews, and how many. They weren't giving people console review codes at all. They were only doing PC review codes. They weren't allowing people to capture video footage, which to me was the really strange one, because you don't see that at all.
Like the others are like little red flags.
Yeah, tiny ones.
And that one is, holy fuck. That's like a giant. That's the sort of thing they unfurl at the halftime of the Super Bowl or some shit. And you're like, that is a big fucking red flag.
Yeah. And I was talking about it last week in terms of they were trying to preserve spoilers, but then when I think we recorded the day of or the day before the reviews came out, I can't really remember, but when the ideas and people were sort of talking about the bugs in the game, that's when
Spoiler alert, it runs like garbage.
Yeah. So I connected the two together. I was like, I think that is why they don't want the videos to come out. And Yeah, I think I was right. Like, absolutely, that was the point. CD Projekt Red knew exactly what they were doing when they were lying to people. They were trying to hide the fact that this game was broken on consoles, or at least last gen consoles. And so by limiting what reviewers could do in their reviews and talk about, they were trying to hide that fact, and they got away with it for a couple of days, because I was under the impression there were bugs in the game, but I don't think people really knew how bad it was until we got to the console versions, because I think they're okay on the PC. Like, there's not a huge issue on the PC. There's definitely bugs. There's a lot of bugs, but it's not as bad as what it is on the console version. So I was talking about, like, the Metacritic score was, I think it started off about a 93 or something, and it dropped to about 91 when we were recording. It's down to like an 86 at the moment. It's still going. I didn't think it was going to drop that far, mainly because I didn't know. I didn't know that the game was this broken.
I mean, fuck. Like, you go back a couple of episodes, and we have been so hyped for this game, right? Like, crazy hyped. I almost feel guilty. Because we fed into but like, we were played just like fucking everyone else. I mean, just like everyone else, man. Like, you know what gets me about this is that shit. Even without the bugs, this game isn't a fucking 9.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Did you listen to the emergency board meeting?
I didn't listen to it. I saw it the other day, and there was someone did a transcribe on.
Right.
I think it was the CD Projekt Reddit page, or Cyberpunk Reddit page. Someone just kind of transcribed the main points. It was a couple days before I saw it on. I think Kotaku picked it up or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did read that.
Like, the moment it was, I don't know. I don't think it was leaked. I think it was just put out there. Yeah. I listened to it, and yeah, like there's a lot to get out of that. There's a lot to interpret from that. But
just to explain a bit, they had an emergency shareholders meeting because their stock prices dropped a lot, like 30%. It was about $31 US, and I think as of today, it's down to about $21. So it's dropped $10 in a couple of days. So they're trying to stop people from selling their shares at this point. So
yeah.
So go on. Sorry.
So there's a lot to take from, like, a lot to get out of this meeting. But my main two takeaways were they're sending everyone on holidays, as they fucking should. And when they get back, it'll be it's all hands on deck. Like, the team working on Gwent will continue to work on Gwent. The team working on mobile games will continue to work on mobile games. They're not Cyberpunk developers, but it seems like everyone else at CD Projekt Red, as a studio, will be working on Cyberpunk, fixing Cyberpunk.
Who isn't working on this Witcher game, most likely?
No, like, it seemed like, based on this fucking call, they said development of our future games continues, but our highest priority is fixing Cyberpunk.
Yeah, they need to No Man's Sky this, because they've basically ruined their reputation.
Well, they said the stinger, and I feel like this has been missed by a lot of people. The stinger is that at the end, he said at least until February, and he sort of just put that out there as a, like, clarifying element. But I think that's pretty fucking important, because to me it says that it's all hands on deck to fix this game until February, and then everyone, like, people who were on the Witcher team are going back to the Witcher and shit like that, and the game will be sort of maintenance
I don't think they'll be on maintenance because they've got this multiplayer thing coming out sometime. So I think they're still going to be working on it.
That's a separate game at this point. They're treating that like a completely separate game. So
I think that gets delayed.
Cyberpunk will be on. Well, they sort of mentioned that it'll be out when it's ready. It's like, is it still on track for 2022? It'll be out when it's ready. The other thing is, I've forgotten. Fuck. There was like one other fucking huge thing, and I'm like, this is pretty important, but I can't fucking remember it anymore. So I don't know. Welcome to it's just another episode of Joab is hungover on a podcast.
Yeah.
Fuck, what were we talking about? Bugs, bug fixing. No, I got nothing. Whatever it was a mind blower, and when I fucking remember it again, I'm gonna fucking be all like, "Oh shit, it was this
4 hours from now."
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, they did have this emergency board meeting, but it's because we've gotten to the point now where console versions are in people's hands. They've now put out a statement saying that they're trying to get people refunds, but it looks like Sony's not coming to play at this stage. I guess they didn't talk to those people first by the looks of it. So if you do want refunds, you can try and get one, but you might not at this point. It's really a weird situation. Because it's broken. Like it's a broken game. I don't know about you, but I've put I think I'm like 38 hours into it at this stage, game time. For about the first 25 hours, I'd say, I didn't have really any issues. I was having some graphics problems every once in a while, like the weird people walking through elevator doors, or my dude being naked while driving and standing and T-posing. Like just
I like when they half T-pose. Have you seen that? Like only everyone's right hand side will T-pose, and the other half of them is sort of like doing regular shit. And I'm like, well, this is weird. Pretty odd.
Yeah. So like that sort of stuff, I'm okay with. Like they're just weird graphical thingies that don't really bother me. But it's been like the last 10 hours, 12 hours where I've started to run into gameplay bugs, like things affecting my experience. Because those little graphical things sort of draw you out of the experience for a split moment. You're like, oh, that's funny. Like my character has no hair for some reason. And when I'm looking in the mirror, like my guy never has any hair. I don't know what is going on anymore. He looks like Max Payne.
Right.
And so that is I'm like, yeah, that's funny. But now I'm getting to the point where I've been like the last 12 hours. I think yesterday I reloaded about 7 or 8 save games because it was just doing weird shit like all of the time. I don't know if we want to go through a list, but because I've got a lot of fucking notes here, but I can tell you about some of the things that I've had just in the last day or two.
We'll see if I've had them too. Although I'm not as deep into the game as you. I'm probably 20 hours in.
Right. And just for a reference, we're not going to be I don't think we're going to be talking about spoilers, like gameplay spoilers. Story spoilers. Yeah.
We might do based on the fact that the fucking story is maybe the best part of this fucking game. The main story, because we'll talk about the fucking other stuff in a bit.
Yeah.
But the main story is probably the best thing this game has going for it. I think we might wind up doing a spoiler cast down the track. I'd really like to. My gut tells me that it might not happen until fucking February when the game is actually finished and out of early access. But we will. Because,
to be honest, the first, like I said, 25 hours, having a lot of fun with it. I was at the point where I was thinking about my next playthrough, being like, oh, I'm going to play as a female, and I'm going to go this build and do all this stuff. And then the last 12 hours have been like, fucking hell, man. Like, what is... This game is getting more broken as I play more of it. So, like...
Because people don't finish. People don't finish games, Luke, so they didn't bother with the last third of it.
So I've got for whatever reason, I've never got any hair. I've never seen my character with hair when I'm looking in a mirror or anything like that. It's just always gone.
Right.
Missing pants for some reason sometimes and look like a Ken doll.
The Ken doll one, yeah. When I was taking screenshots of my dude hanging dong.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you don't have to wear pants if you don't want to. And then when I put pants back on, the pants didn't come on, and he Ken-dolled, and I'm like, well, this makes me uncomfortable. Well, what happened to my penis?
Yeah.
Give me back my penis, damn you. I do not like the Ken-doll glitch.
Right. I had a mission, it's called Send in the Clowns. I'm not sure if you've done this one, but you're waiting for a character to return from doing something, and you're waiting in the car while they're off doing it. And something doesn't go right, and you need to get out of the car. And every time I got out of the car, it actually forced me to get out of the car. Like, I couldn't press it before or after. It was kind of like a moment. And so whenever that would happen, my guy would get out of the car and fall through the earth, like just straight through the ground. And I was like, oh, okay. The first time it happened, I'm like, oh, okay. And then the screen, like, I kept falling, and I could look up, and like, there's Night City above me, and I'm still falling. And then it went to a loading screen, and then it put me back in the game, but I was like still in the world somewhere falling, and it just put me in this loop. It just kept doing it. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's fair enough. And so I reloaded my save game from when I was in the car, and then the exact same thing happened again, and I'm like, oh, all right, fair enough. This save looks like it's fucked. And so I reloaded back into an older save, like, because it does a couple of auto saves, like 3. So I reloaded back into another one before we actually got to that spot, and then got back into that situation where I need to get out of the car. I get out of the car, falls through the floor, and I'm like,
oh my god.
I'm like, is this mission just bugged? Is this what's going on? So I needed to kill the game. I came back in, tried it one more time, and that worked. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. We got out of the car. That's cool. Yeah, all the T-posing that's going on. I've had HUD elements on the screen that have gotten stuck that just won't disappear. Sometimes HUD elements just completely vanish. I've had like my ammo count disappear, and I've had to reload a save game to get that back. I've had weird instances where like people's health bars will disappear and they don't come back, and you can't see like how much health they've got. I've had the color on my screen change different colors. Like, I won't go into spoilers as to that. Something makes that happen, but it was changing colors for no reason. Like my text was going like green, kind of like I felt like it had just enabled just like different types of yeah, matrix mode, or like a colorblind mode or something like that. But it was just doing it by itself, which is kind of disorienting. I've had people disappearing in front of me and like just vanishing completely, like teleporting. The car racing is terrible. It's not really a bug, but the way that is set up is shit. There's like a whole side story where you're doing these car races, and I mentioned this in our chat the other day, but you can flick the camera behind you and see the cars like basically being teleported or being phased into the world, because you can look forward and drive, and you're going fast. You know you're doing extremely faster than those other cars, and you can look at your minimap and you can see those cars on the minimap like teleporting. And if you quickly look behind you and then look forward and look behind you again, the order of where those cars are in like the race are always changing. Like there's an orange car on the left, and all of a sudden he's 3 rows back and he's on the right, and then you quickly flick forward and then flick back, and now he's in front and in the middle, and you're like, there's no way that car could move that quick. And if you do it enough times, you can start seeing like cars sort of being in the air and dropping and hitting things. And so it's like actually teleporting those cars around you to keep them. It's like a catch-up mechanic in Mario Kart, but they're not making the cars faster. They're just teleporting them in front of you or something.
That There was that tweet, right? That Jeff Canada retweeted
about how traffic is done.
Yeah, about how traffic. I've 100% noticed that. There have been a number of times where I've been driving, and I'll see a fucking one of those sleek fucking quadros, and I'll be like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna fucking steal that car." Because, by the way, why are they insisting that you buy a car? Why do you get fucking texts all the time telling you to buy a car? You steal any car. There's no repercussions. You can steal cars in front of the fucking cops, and they don't give a fuck.
It's so that you can call them back for later on, like your garage.
Who fucking cares? Why does that matter? Just fucking go steal a car. It is, yeah. I haven't done any of the races because the driving model in Cyberpunk is one of the worst I've ever experienced.
I thought the driving was pretty good because I was using the same 4 cars that I've had the entire time, which is like 2 motorbikes, my default car, and something else that someone had given me. I only just got a new car that I didn't buy it. I found it somewhere, and it's fucking fast. And I can't. I needed to get this car out of somewhere in order to get to back to the main city. It was in like a cave. The car was fucked up before I even got out of the cave because I couldn't drive it properly. It was just spinning out everywhere. And so now whenever I call this car out into the city, it's so quick and I can't drive it anywhere. The handling is just shit. But my old shitbox that I had drives amazing. I could turn those corners like no problem. I thought the driving was great.
40 k's an hour in the fucking thing, and you're like, "Fuck, this handles like a dream." And you fucking turn it like a Mack truck. You're like, "Well, wow, I'm not even sliding out." And meanwhile, you get in the fast car. See, that's the problem, right? I don't buy cars; I steal them, and all I do is steal the fucking coolest car I see.
Yeah,
and it just like. Then I just fucking do donuts for 16 minutes because I just spin my way to wherever the fuck I'm trying to go. It's not faster than the 40k an hour car. I might as well be in one of those tiny van things that drive around. I spent so much time overshooting wherever the fuck I'm supposed to go, or like just crashing into walls and shit.
Because the game has no dynamic minimap. It needs a minimap that you can see where you're going. Because it's like, you need to turn left up here. But by the time you get to the part where you need to turn left, you're going too fucking fast. And so you're running to a wall.
Yeah, it's 16 kilometers behind you. Like, it is literally how I do directions in real life. Like, someone will be like, "Oh, Joab, you do directions." And I'll be like, "You don't want that. Nobody wants that. Let's get someone else to do. Why don't you just hold your fucking phone? Why don't you hold your phone and do it yourself?
It'll be safer.
It'll be better, right? We might die, but it'll still be better than me doing it. Because I'll be like, driving. Oh yeah, we were supposed to turn left back there. Yeah, no, we can fix this. If you turn left, back there. Oh yeah, no, take that right that we just passed. Fuck. All right, well, if we turn around at the roundabout, we just went through. Don't worry about it. I am the human version of Cyberpunk's minimap.
Which is non-existent.
Yeah, it's just useless. The broader point I was making is that I'll see, like, I'll be driving in some fucking shitbox, and I'll see a fucking quadro, and I'll like, oh yeah, I gotta get that. And so I'll stop the car and then turn around, and every car behind me will be completely different. I'll be like, what? What just happened? Yeah, I've definitely noticed that the car, like, there's no permanence. Like, none of these, they're not like entities in the game world.
Yeah.
They don't exist in the sense, in the Watchdog style sense.
Yeah, where people have lives. They go about doing.
But they don't even exist in the much more reduced, like, so for a goof, I downloaded Grand Theft Auto Vice City because that was the first Grand Theft Auto 3D game that allowed you to shoot out the tires on cars. And I very quickly realized that you can't shoot out the tires in cars in Cyberpunk because I don't know. I like shooting tires in cars.
So I have a game for you, Joab. It's called The Division. There's so many tires.
I never tire of shooting out tires. But anyway, so I downloaded Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It's better. It's better in basically every fucking way than Cyberpunk. I don't understand. It is crazy. But Vice City came out in fucking 2002. And it does things that Cyberpunk isn't capable of. Oh, I fucking remembered. I fucking just remembered that fucking earnings call. They said that the AI thing, they won't working on improving the AI is not something that they're working on, because in their they see the AI issues as a bug. And so what I think has happened is they have a stopgap implementation of AI where they just create entities in the world to make it look like it's populated, because there is a fatal flaw in the actual AI of the game, and they couldn't fix it before.
Yeah, they couldn't fix it. Yeah,
and
there's a lot of stuff like that.
They reckon the problems with the AI is a bug, and I think that's what's happening. Is they have stopgap implemented a fucking one of the worst fucking, what's that fucking tape that you slap on a tank and it stops the water from Flex Seal or whatever the fuck it is. But instead of Flex Seal, it's a fucking,
it's a couple lines of code.
it's like a fucking sad piece of paper or something, and it's not doing the job correctly. It's like there's still fucking water pissing out, and you're like, yeah, but I slapped something on it.
Yeah, and if you turn around and don't look at it, you won't notice it.
Yeah,
right.
Don't worry about your pants getting wet.
Because it's not just the vehicles; it's the people are using the exact same solution as well. Like the amount of times that I've seen, you can do something in the world and turn around, and the people are completely different, or it'll spawn in people that look the same, and they're kind of standing next to each other, and you're like, what are these? Are they supposed to be twins? Wearing the same clothes? Is that what's going on? It's just yeah. I got a couple more bugs here. Let me go through them. Oh,
sure.
This is one that I hate. I've reloaded a couple saves, or I've died in the middle of a mission, and it's reloaded me into my save where there's someone behind me now all of a sudden, and so I'm playing it as a stealth game, and someone that was there before, that I've killed and there wasn't anyone there, is now directly behind me, and the moment I
fuck out of this,
I spawn, I'm like, where is this person come from? And I can't turn around quick enough before they spot me. I'm just like, all right, and that's happened a bunch where it's not saving.
Have you not just reloaded? Because it seems like they go
it's just random spawning or something.
No, it seems like their pathing is tied to system clock or something.
Yeah, it's
as far as I can tell.
Because it's not saving the instance of where everybody is. It's moving people around or spawning them in or something.
That's strange. That's what I'm saying, right? They move, their position appears to be tied to your system clock or something like that. So when you reload, they're in a different spot. And so when I fuck, because I'm playing stealth as well, when I fuck up and I wind up in a bad position where I'm like, I don't know how I fucking move out of this one. I just reload, and I just keep reloading until they've moved back into the other position again, and then I'll just fucking wander on through, because it's some fucking mind-bending shit, because you remain in your position.
Yeah, but everybody else moved.
Yeah, they move. It's like you're in an alternate reality where they never fucking made it there. Some shit. Yeah, I can see how it would be annoying if it worked against you, but when it works in your favor, primo shit, man.
I saw one where I was in the middle of I think it was a side mission or a gig or something like that, and I was quite high up. and looking down on people, and I got spotted or did something and got in a fight, and everybody noticed me, and then I reloaded my save. It plopped me back in, but it plopped everybody else like at the very back of this complex, and I could see them all like running to their spots of like where they were supposed to be, because like this guy's over in this tower, and this guy's supposed to be down here next to this thing, and I could see them all running like, oh, we're not in our spawns properly. We need to go to back to our spot. So that stuff is really weird. I've had people see me through walls after I've reloaded a save. Like if I've triggered an alert and then I've been like, I just want to reload this one. Fuck it. I'll reload back into my save. And for whatever reason, they haven't reset their state to be like, all right, we're back in normal mode. It's like, no, they can still alerted. And now, for whatever reason, this person can see me through a wall. I've had instances where people are trying to shoot me through floors, through like walls and things like that. Like for some reason, they can see me, and it shows up on your HUD. You see the eye getting to the top, and then they see you, and then I can hear gunfire, and I'm looking behind me, and I'm like, are they trying to shoot me through a wall? What is going on here? That's happened a bunch. What else? Let's go to my next page. That's probably most of my major sort of bugs at this stage. But like, yesterday was the day where I was like, this is nuts. Like, why? It's like getting more broken the more I play it. It's because I wasn't seeing these gameplay related issues at the first couple of days. It was more like, this is funny, like it's broken, but it's not too bad. But when it starts affecting gameplay elements and that's really pulling you out, it's like, that's not cool.
Yeah, man, I have so many problems with this game. I cannot think of any time where I've been more gutted that I didn't get to review a game, because like I reckon you or I would have fucking dragged this down the fucking, like behind some fucking horses down the fucking street. It is a travesty. Yeah, you said it last week, you know, like they've been very selective about who got to review this game.
And we were wondering why we didn't get code.
Yeah.
I think we know why.
I think we know why. It's all coming together. Holy shit, man. I've been trying to work out how this game got 10s.
My only explanation as to it is that a lot of people, because it came in so late, I think they had 5 days or 4 days to play it.
Yeah.
A lot of the reviews that I've read have mainlined most of the campaign and done bits of the side quests. Whereas the way I've played it is I've done a lot of the side quests. I think I'm pretty close to the end of the game because I've gotten to a part where it's like, hey, I think it's like Point of No Return or something it's called. And it tells you. It does the Bethesda Skyrim Fallout thing where it's like, you can't go any further than here. Make sure you've done everything you need to. Like, I've done all that stuff. But I've been doing all the side missions and that sort of thing. And maybe that's where, for me, even though my first sort of 25 hours, I didn't see many problems, that could be the same for other people. They played... Because a lot of people said they finished it in like 30 hours, right? And so maybe they didn't see a lot of this stuff that was happening.
That's what I was thinking as well, is that not only did they strategically not give the fucking gangster fucking reviewers the code until after launch, but they also didn't give anyone enough time to really delve deep. You know, they plopped them in a fucking ocean, and but these people never had time to fucking dive below the water. They could, they only had enough time to sail straight to port. And meanwhile, we've had enough time to fucking dive in and see what's going on. And the other thing I think has happened is I believe a bunch of reviewers who didn't have PCs that were up to scratch were provided with PCs as loans. They weren't given fucking
free PCs,
but they were provided with PCs to play on that had like 3080s and like the fucking top-notch fucking shit installed. And I think there might be a touch of Half-Life Alyx syndrome going on here, where these people who haven't played on top-notch hardware before are wowed, are fucking overwhelmed by how good this game looks on this top-notch fucking hardware.
Because it does. It's the best looking game we've got of this gen. Like, it looks ridiculous.
Yeah. And so I think that, like Half-Life Alyx sort of distracted people into and made them think
why do you keep
it was better than
Half-Life Alyx? You're a dickhead.
You know it's not going to get our Game of the Year. You know it's not going to be fucking Game of the Year on the game. You know this, right? I'll fucking fight.
If no one else is on the show, who's gonna say anything?
I will fucking rend this earth bare to make sure it never fucking wins Game of the Year. Holy fuck.
All right, well then I'm batting Cyberpunk. Let's do it.
Joe, you got two choices. Cyberpunk wins or Half-Life Alyx wins. What are your choices?
Yeah, or Death Stranding. I'm bringing that one back.
I'm gonna see if I can dive off my second-story balcony in such a way as to end myself. That's my preferred option. Anyway, like Half-Life Alyx, they were so wowed by the technology that that I think they didn't like. It made it harder to notice that it was the problems, and of course there is the I know that we don't play this way, but there is that old issue of when you bring up bugs to PR people in a review before the review goes live, they go, oh, that'll be fixed in the day one patch. And I know that you and I have both specifically called out bugs and then written something to the effect of they say this will be fixed in the day one patch. And that is, in my opinion, how it's supposed to go down. But there are other people who will hand wave away those bugs because they've been told.
I did that for Dark Souls 3 for Survivor. I reviewed the PC version. I think you and I got code like a month, 3 weeks before release. So we're playing pretty early code. And I think I gave it a 9, maybe a 9.5 or a 9. And one of my complaints was the performance in certain areas was not good. Like it was, I remember that swamp area was really bad and it was dropping a lot. And you're trying to play a precision-based combat game and you're getting like terrible frame rates on a game that's run pretty good for the most part everywhere else. And so I knocked it for that. But they launched a day one patch that fixed it. So I updated my review and gave it a 10. I was like, that the main problem I had with it is fixed. Whereas this is not the case here. I mean, they've said that, hey, there's going to be a day one patch, but also they haven't said what was going to be fixed or any of that stuff. They were kind of just telling people.
It was up to 1.04 before it launched, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, and 150 gigabytes of patches or some shit. Like, holy shit, man.
So yeah. I mean, it's hard, and also the notion of the issues that one person having, like, again, it's all subjective experiences. Like my experience is different to someone else that's reviewed it, and your experience, like the bugs that I have may not be the same as yours. Like that one that you brought up with the when you got hit by the car and got flung around.
Yeah.
Very close, similar to the sort of time where you brought that up was the first time that I had the bug where I jumped off like a small ledge and I landed and died. And it was I felt like DayZ to me. Like, oh, that was a DayZ bug, that one. Like, that shouldn't happen. But that was the first time I had a bug where I died and it affected my gameplay.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, that hasn't happened to me again, but that's just one instance where it's not something that's always occurring all the time, but other people may not have seen that. And so it's hard to say, like, these people have given it 10s or 9s because maybe they didn't have those bugs, or they still think it's a 10 regardless of those bugs. But I don't, from my personal experience playing this, this game shouldn't have been released. That's where it comes down to. This game shouldn't have been released at all.
Baz posted a video of, it was like he titled it like in our Discord. If you jump on our Discord into the general channel, there's always good chats. But Baz posted a video of bug for 40,000 or some shit.
Yeah,
it was a good title, but it was like this dude who was in an elevator who just fucking kept warping back and forth. He was like a mini boss type thing that you had to defeat. And I think maybe it was Zio said that it happened to her, or if it was Z Doctor, I'm really sorry. Z, and then it happened to him. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it started with a Z, whoever it was. But anyway, yeah, like it happened to them, and it happened to me as well. Like, it is wild how consistent some of these bugs are. Like, they just happen.
The
like,
floating car, with the first time you get into your car and you drive to go see the one of the rippers, and like you get back to your car spot and the car is like floating. The amount of people that I've seen with that exact same thing, I'm like, that happened on my first time. I've never seen my car floating before, except for that one time. But like that sort of thing, right? Where sometimes you see one bug and it never happens again, and other times it's like it's consistent and other people are having it, and it's just like that bit is broken. The one where directly out the front of your apartment building, there's that corner where all the cars are running into that wall. I don't know if they fixed that
I
yet.
don't have that one. I haven't seen
I was like, because I was talking, there's a bit at the start where you're talking to Jackie, who's a fantastic character, and he's like sitting there eating noodles, and you just like, it's just such a good like vibe. You've got all these people everywhere, and there's bright lights and such a detailed city.
The Blade Runner like aesthetic. That's that scene is like the promise of Cyberpunk. It is fantastic.
Except for me, all I'm hearing is this crashing sound in the background. I'm like, what is that sound? And then we finish talking, and I walk over, and there's like the front of a car on the side of the road, like just sitting there. It's just like like someone's bumper. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden this car comes belting through and hits this like concrete block and just barrels through and comes scraping. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then another car's behind it. It does exactly the same thing. And I'm just like, okay. That's what that sound was. Like the AI path of the car is too far to the right. And so it's just barreling through all these concrete blocks and these little vendors of, where people are serving food and just hitting them all. And that is sort of like it's like, how did no one, like, how did this is literally like one of the main areas of the game. And no one noticed this was going on, or it wasn't a priority, I guess. That's what this game feels like. It's just like stitched together.
Do we keep talking about the bugs, or do we talk about? Do we just wrap up? This game is buggy as fuck.
It's buggy. It shouldn't have been released. I don't know why it was released, even after that investor call. Because I thought, the only reason they're putting this out is because their investors wanted it out. But from the sounds of it, that wasn't the case. And the other thing I was thinking of was like maybe Microsoft was getting upset with them because Microsoft had this giant marketing deal with them. They were pushing out all these ads and things. But I don't think that is it either.
Under no circumstances is it Microsoft's fault However, I think that their obligation to Microsoft, is probably to do with it. Like, absolutely not. Microsoft isn't to blame for them releasing this, but I think they had an obligation because of the marketing deal to release before the end of this year. And I think we spoke about it like a couple of weeks ago. You were like, does this game get delayed again? I'm like, they can't. Like, they cannot delay this game out of, like, it can't be delayed any later than December 10 because
they
a
print
single
discs.
week. Yeah, and like a single week delay puts it to December 17, but that's not long enough to do anything meaningful.
No, it'll be out today.
Yeah, and
it's still broken. It's not going to fix it. That's
still broken. A week after that is fucking Christmas, and they would never. And after that is the end of the year, and it's too late. So, like we were talking about, like they had to get this game out before 2021, and I believe it is marketing related that they pushed this out when they did, and December 10 was the absolute latest that they could make that happen, and it should have been a 2021 game. Fuck, it might have been a 2022 game at this rate. Holy fuck, man! Like,
I get like you look at this game, and then it kind of makes you appreciate when, what was it? Games like what Sony did with The Last of Us, right? Last of Us Part 2, and they pushed that back quite a bit, not a huge amount, but that game came out and it was fucking perfect. Like, I didn't have any issues at all, bugs wise or anything like that. And so you then look at a game like this and it's just a complete mess, and you think, even if it came out in February, like if they gave it another 3 months, would that fix all the bugs? And I don't think it would. I think it needed like maybe another year. Like this should have been a holiday next year game to iron all that stuff out, make it a great experience.
Because, and this, I guess this is what I'm driving at. Like, let's not keep dwelling on how buggy this game is. Everyone knows it's fucking buggy.
Yeah.
But even outside of the bugs, this game's not good enough, in my opinion.
Well, it's not the hype. It's not the Red Dead Redemption. It's not the great GTA. Exactly. It's not The Last of Us. It's not God of War. Like, that's kind of what we were hoping, and that's not what it is. I think it's a good game.
That's what we were sold.
Right.
It's not even the fucking Witcher, man. It's not even the fucking Witcher 1. Like,
I don't remember the Witcher 1. I don't think I played it.
I only went back to it after The Witcher 3, but and it that's some real fucking Demon Soul shit. Holy fuck. That game is rough compared to The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not even up to the standard set. The fucking what sold me on the idea of Cyberpunk was the team that made The Witcher 3 doing a fucking future game, a future shooter RPG, future GTA. It's not even close to that. Like, it is. So I reckon the main story is pretty fucking amazing. I haven't finished it. I feel like it's going to go in some extremely interesting ways, but from what I've seen of it, like already it's gone in some fantastic ways. It's like it doesn't go far enough in a couple of circumstances. We won't talk about that because obviously it's spoilerific. I think Keanu does a fucking spectacular job
of playing Keanu.
Playing Keanu, but he says cunt. He calls you a cunt, and that's enough for me. And yeah, I think they did a really good job with all, like, you know, the supporting cast,
the build
characters
up, man.
that went up winning, and
yeah,
like and that if this was a linear fucking game, like, I think it would be received better. As soon as you fucking step outside of the narrow fucking path. Man, I've been doing side jobs, and not a single one has been nearly as interesting as I expect it to be.
Are you talking about gigs or side missions?
Jobs.
I think some of them are really good. Like the stuff with Pan Am, the stuff with River. Is it River? I think his name is. Stuff with like Judy. Like there's supporting characters that are around.
Pan Am? Who the fuck is Pan Am?
Okay, yep. This is what I'm saying. There are. Have you met River?
Like Pan America Airlines.
Is that his name, River?
Leonardo DiCaprio scams the fuck out of him in that Catch Me If You Can movie.
Yeah. There are side characters in the game that you go and do missions with. Like Judy, Pan Am, River. That I think their stuff is really good. They have like these long branching narratives that play out over multiple missions. Similar to, I think, the racing missions, not like they're not interesting. That specific storyline is not interesting because it's just you racing while she's like shooting stuff up. And I think even that is dumb. Like, why is she shooting stuff up? It doesn't matter at all. It's not like she's doing damage to cars. That's dumb. I think she's just shooting stuff up because they needed her to be there. And so that was the solution they came up with. So there is definitely stuff in there that is more like fetch questy, where you're just kind of going into an area and finding something. But there's story stuff in there that's really good.
That first, so it's very mild spoiler, but the first mission you do in the game is the one that they've shown a billion times with the fucking trauma team or whatever the fuck they're called.
I was surprised by
that. You rescue that chick, but afterwards, you get another mission involving her. And I did absolutely everything I could in that mission. As far as I can tell, like I went all the way down that fucking rabbit hole. I don't know if you know this, but if you go out the back of like the location, basically you got to go into like a scav hideout and recover her data chip or some shit.
Yeah.
And if you go all the way through it, you get up to a Ripper doc. There's a Ripper doc.
Yep.
Who's like,
they're keeping me here against my will.
Yeah. First of all, I told him to get fucked, and he ran away. And I saw, I followed him, and he got into a car, and then I murdered him as he was getting into a car. No, sadly. But I chopped him down as he was getting into the car, and the cops teleported in behind me as a result, because that was a murder. He was a civilian, even though he was
Star Trek.
That's I put up a video on. I don't know if I put it in the Discord or just in Facebook chat, in our chat. I'm not sure where I put it, but that's the video where my bike runs me over.
Oh yeah, you gotta be careful.
I call my
AI
bike.
bikes.
And the fucking bike run me over, and then the cop like fucking teleported around the corner, and I was like, because there are enemies that have like augmentations that allow them to like
speed move or something.
Stuff. Yeah,
I hate them. I fucking hate them.
I
think the cooldown on them is too quick. I think it's bad design.
It doesn't matter. What's the problem? There's no problem there, man. It's just fucking. I tap caps lock. Time slows to a crawl for some reason. I don't think it should, but time slows to a crawl. You mouse over them and you disable cyberware. That's it. They're done. They can't even fucking move after that. You walk up and chop them. Like, finished. It's hilarious. They are useless. Although, I guess if you're not going down, I'm full tech. I've gone all tech route. So maybe if you...
I'm not sure if I've got that one. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if we got like a collector's edition or if you got this for buying it on GOG or what, but I've got this fucking sword. that I got at the start of the game and I've been using ever since. I just upgrade the fucking thing.
Right.
It's basically all I use. I get some other guns, but I don't really use them.
Okay.
I've got I got a sniper rifle that I use, but it's too loud and it alerts everyone. I've got a silenced assault or a silencer on an assault rifle that I use to shoot cameras, and then I've got this sword that I use whenever I fucking need to start murdering people. Because you just you like dodge. The only times I've died are either to hilariously idiotic bug situations, like when I got run over by a car that was being smashed into by another car, or when I got run over by the bike I'd called in and a cop teleported around a corner to fucking murder me. Yeah, that's like this game is too easy. Like, I don't want to be all, you should probably play The Witcher on very hard or some shit, but you should probably play Cyberpunk on fucking hard, man, because this game is too easy. I am not having any problems at all, and it's got something to do with the fact that my sword, like, I don't really understand the crafting system, right? Because I just like,
we need to spec into crafting to be able to craft high level gear. Yeah.
Oh, because I'm going down the tech route, right? Yeah. But you can upgrade without, like, you can upgrade shit, and it's not tied to your ability to.
When you dismantle high level gear, it sort of unlocks it in your crafting tree, and then you can craft those types of weapons. But you've then got I think it's like called Grease Monkey or something in the engineering skill tree. But you can still craft like the lower tier stuff, ammo, different types of cyberware.
You can upgrade all your shit without having done any of that.
Yeah, so you can take your favorite stuff with you. That's smart.
Except, like, anytime I'm over encumbered, which is basically always, because I pick up literally everything, like it's Skyrim, I just sit there for I just sit there for fucking 2 minutes. I'll be like in the middle of a fucking firefight, just hold like in my menu holding Z for 2 seconds. Z, dismantling all and then when that's finished, I've got all the fucking parts I need to upgrade my fucking sword again. I'm like, cool. My sword does like something like 1100 fucking DPS.
So you can just keep upgrading it, can you? Constantly.
Yeah, like it taps out at like like you can't upgrade it further than your current level or some shit. Okay. And then when you go up a level, you upgrade it another fucking 200 DPS. So my assault rifle and my sniper rifle do like 600 DPS or some shit. And like the sniper rifle, if I get a headshot, it does like 20,000 fucking damage or some shit.
Yeah,
right.
The head just explodes.
Sword is doing fucking 1,200 DPS or some shit, 1,100 DPS. And so I just run up and I just fucking whap. And I like double tap W to fucking dodge into cunts and fucking whip.
Yeah,
I got like some ability where I like slow down. I got a cyberware, I think, where I slow down time when I dodge and aim at the same time. And so like I'm like dodging all over the place.
Yeah. So I think the gunplay in it is all right. There's some really interesting mechanics in there. I'm using my gun as a revolver, a silenced revolver. I put a silencer on it that does 2 times damage on headshots and 3 times damage when I'm in stealth. So I just fucking pop heads all the time because I'm playing stealth. So I just run around. It's got like 6 bullets in it. Everyone's dead. Like one shot most of the time. If I get detected, then it's not too bad because I can use all my cyberware. I really like that stuff. Like I've teched into I think I've got like 6 mods on mine. There's one like it makes people blind, and it also spreads out and like infects other people. I've got one that sets people on fire. I've got the ping, so I can ping devices in the room and it shows me where everyone else is. That stuff is cool. I had one that jammed people's guns. I think I swapped one out for there was like one where they just like kill themselves basically. They just shoot that. Like I've got a ton, like that stuff is really cool and interesting. And I think the shooting is okay. Like, it's nothing spectacular.
Why is everyone a bullet sponge? Well, it doesn't make. Yeah. Oh my god, I hate this shit, man. Like, because your gun, like, because I'm using, my guns are generally garbage because I don't upgrade them because I just upgrade my sword all the time. But it's like, oh yeah, so you shot this exploding barrel, but it's only a fucking level 10 exploding barrel or something. Like, how come? How does an explosion scale with my damage? That's fucking so dumb. And
because
so
it's an
some
RPG,
dude will be
right?
standing on top of a fucking barrel, standing on top of the barrel, and then I explode the fucking thing. You're like, oh yeah, fair enough. Scuff my shoes a bit.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. I'll wander on over, and then I'll fucking kill him with the sword. But like, if I have to shoot anyone with the assault rifle, it is like
takes
3 or 4 fucking clips. It is the worst. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
It's only like, it only feels good. Like, you notice that it's a halfway decent shooting model when people die immediately, and so
that's why I'm using this silenced pistol.
Yeah,
it just fucking destroys everyone.
Holy fuck, man! But it's so why? Yeah, because it's an RPG, so you got fucking. I don't give a fuck. Like, just because it's an RPG doesn't mean. Oh my god!
Yeah, they need to tone down the damage. They can, like, their health or something.
Yeah,
like, it shouldn't take that many. You should feel like you're doing stuff. Feels too Borderlandsy, I think. And that leaks into the boss fights, man. The boss fights are terrible. They're so repetitive. I think everyone that I've done has basically been the same sort of fight. The first one you get to, where you're like, you got to find the weak spot on this guy. There's a bit more strategy involved. You're like, all right, yeah, cool. And then everyone after that, it's exactly the same. Like, they've all got the same fucking move really quickly, and they've got like blades they can hit you with, and they take up so much damage. You're kind of just dodging the entire time. I got to one fight, I must have died like 8 times in a row in about 30 seconds because I was like, this dude is just one-shotting me. Like, what am I supposed to do? And so I switched from my my pistol, grabbed my assault rifle out, and just like fucked out of there. I like ran away and got up into a high level and sort of just kited him around, and that was not fun because he wasn't taking any damage. Even with my pistol, I wasn't doing any damage, but it was like, this boss fight is just bad. It's so uninteresting, and they're all like that that I've seen so far. So yeah, I think they need to scale something with change the damage. Like, there's so much in this game where I'm like, it feels like they skipped the part where they were like, all right, we gotta play test it for a while and get the balancing right. When you play a survival horror game or something like The Last of Us Part 2, where they slowly give you the ammo that you need, or Resident Evil, like, you feel like you're just on the edge of having enough of the things that you need. But this game doesn't do that, even with like eddies. I think eddies are wildly unbalanced. Everything costs so fucking much money.
Oh, really?
What's
I've always got too much money. I've never struggled for money. I don't understand.
No. When you're trying to buy something, like every 30 minutes when you get a new text message about, hey, there's a new car here, and you look how much the car costs, and it's like 78,000 eddies, and you're like, well, I've got 100,000 eddies, and you've sent me like 14 of these. I can only buy one car, and then you go and buy a cyber mod, and some of those cost like 45,000. Right? That just, to me, seems like a balancing thing where they haven't thought about it properly. Like, how much is everything here going to cost? It looks like too much, way too much. So I don't know. It's just kind of.
I don't know, man. Like, I go into a fucking Ripperdoc and I get all the fucking cyberware I want. I'm just like, well, yep, cool. The only thing stopping me is like my street cred isn't high enough for some shit.
Yeah,
I had enough money for like gorilla arms. Basically, the moment I went and saw the guy, and then, but I was like, I don't know, 16 fucking street cred levels off for being able to buy the fucking things. I'm like, just let me fucking buy it. Just let me have my fucking gorilla arms. Like, I just want to rip some fucking doors open.
Right, yeah.
That's all I use them for, is ripping doors open.
Can you do
somehow
that?
With gorilla arms? Fuck yeah, you can.
Okay.
For some reason, being able to having robot arms that are way stronger doesn't actually impact the speed or power at which you swing your sword, which is pretty, I guess it makes sense from a game balancing perspective, but it's pretty dumb. Did you go gorilla arms or did you get some other arms? Did you get blade arms or some shit? Mantis?
I'm not sure. No, I don't have Mantis, but I've got the Cyberwire, is it called?
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
It like fucking flicks it. I don't know if that's part of the arms or something else.
Yeah, that's arms.
Can't remember. But
yeah,
I've got that. I've got the double jump on my legs.
Fuck yeah. Why would you go power up jump? That's idiotic. I don't know if you noticed, but they're like, if you jump off a tall building, I'm like, I'm just going to jump off this tall building. That's going to be the fastest way down.
Just double jump before you hit.
That's what I figured I'd do. No, you reach a point where you can no longer double jump.
Velocity. Yeah.
Fuck that shit. That's idiotic. Fuck.
What is this? What kind of fake world is this?
Explain the mechanics of your double jump if I cannot just double jump wherever the fuck I want. Like, explain it. How are you double jumping? Right? The power jump should be the only fucking jump. Because the double jump ignores the laws of physics. There is nothing that makes sense about a double jump. What are you jumping off? You can't fucking spring again. Okay, I know I'm getting way too worked up about this, but there is nothing that makes sense about a double jump.
What if they're propelled like jets? They're jets on the side of your thing, gives you a boost.
Then I should be able to fucking double jump when I'm at when I've jumped off a tall building.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. I am annoyed about this.
I think the start of the game is pretty great. I think they tried to battle Assassin's Creed for the longest title card sequence because I feel like I saw the title screen about 7 hours in, and I was very surprised when that popped up. And I think all the stuff before that is fantastic. The like Jackie storyline, you getting to know like sort of Johnny Silverhand's character and what's going on.
Why is your fall from grace becoming a merc? Why is that a fucking montage? Why are they showing and not telling?
Content that was cut out? I don't know. That wasn't ready.
Why? That's so bad. I love Jackie. Jackie's awesome. But that was a glaring failure to me. That mission in particular. I hated. Oh, that supercut of all the cool things you never got to do.
Right.
That sucked.
Yeah.
I cannot
the premise is like you and Jackie have like a run-in and then become best friends, and then rather than you building up that character, it's like a montage of like 6 months later type thing.
Which start did you go?
I went Street Kid.
Okay. In my one, Jackie is already your best friend.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I went Corpo.
From what I understand, the selections are not that. Like, it doesn't really affect much other than, from what I can see so far, I'm nearly done. It's dialogue options. It doesn't really change anything, which is kind of disappointing. Other than the start, I mean, I guess it's interesting, like different starting area, but it's not like a 6-7 hour different experience at the start of the game. It's kind of like a very short, different moment that it shows you. What else is good? The world itself. I think the world is fantastic. Like, the moment you get in there and you start exploring and seeing the outside, I think it's really well done. The verticality of it, it's so just deep. You kind of stand in an area and you look around and look up and down, and later on you're walking in an elevator, getting off the elevator, and there's a whole new level up here, and you can kind of see where you were just standing before. Like, it's not a flat world, like a Grand Theft Auto or a Red Dead Redemption or anything like that. Like, it feels like it's got layers to it, and these areas that you can go into have things happening. Like, the amount of times I've seen an elevator on the side of the road and being like, where's this taking me? And I go up there and there's like a whole nother location that you're kind of walking around, and shops and things like that. I think that there's it's not just flat. It's got some verticality to it, which I think is really interesting.
Point. There's not a lot of point to any of it.
They try and put some side stuff around there, but it's mainly the go and kill these little gangs or go find the tarot cards, that sort of stuff. It's just that there's not really like discovering, right? Or exploration. And I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of the game, is there's no exploration in it, because everything is shown to you from the start of the game. Yeah. It's like, here's the world and here's everything you can do in it. It's like the opposite of what like the Assassin's or the Ubisoft game, as we got an email about last week. Yeah. Like, Ubisoft does a thing where you go to the tower, you unlock the tower, or go to the synchronization point. It shows where everything is, and then you can go around and do everything. And we were talking about how Assassin's Creed Valhalla has icons on the map, but you don't really know what they are until you get there, and there's some really interesting stories behind them. Whereas this game is like, we're going to tell you where everything is, we're going to tell you what it's going to be, what difficulty it is. Sometimes it'll be very ambiguous and say this is a hard job, but we won't tell you what the job actually is until you get there. You'll find out when you get there. It's just a tiny side mission. And that kind of ruins the exploration element of the game. There's no dynamic, there's very few dynamic sort of events that happen in the world that I've seen. I feel like less than 5. It's not like
what? I can't think of any.
I've seen, well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they are dynamic events or if they're just people that are there. Like, they were supposed to be there, or I just haven't been here before.
Right, like the crazy soapbox guy who yells and stuff.
Him, yeah, but he's always at that spot. So, yeah, maybe.
Right. So, not that, or?
I guess stuff like that.
Like,
It's not, but it's not.
You like roll around in GTA and like stuff's happening. It feels like an alive world. Whereas you roll around in Cyberpunk and it feels like it might as well be empty because things only exist. Like, it's weird, man. And it never does anything. It's such an interesting fucking setting. I love Cyberpunk as a setting.
It's like they spent all their time, like a lot of, I'm talking, they built such a great place. Like, Night City is awesome, and they didn't do anything interesting with it other than make it look pretty.
It's crazy. They never filled it with anything. They like made this fucking awesome sandwich or this awesome bread and sliced it up to make a sandwich, and then they just fucking slapped the 2 pieces of bread together. And like, here's your fucking sandwich. They never fucking they're barely putting any fucking cheese in it. You're like, well, it's some fucking good bread, like a bit of cheese, but where's the fucking meat? Where's the sandwich? Fucking hell, slap some fucking Vegemite on this cunt at least. Like,
no, I'm out.
You don't like Vegemite?
No,
fucking Captain America over here, eh? Fucking hell. He's been in fucking San Fran for 12 months and now he hates fucking Vegemite. Well.
Yeah.
It's another reason why your opinion on Half-Life Alyx doesn't count, because you're un-Australian.
That's what it is. So yeah, there's stuff around the world that I go and explore and see, like, oh, what is this thing? And then you kind of do it, and sometimes you get some cool gear out of it. I've found some epic stuff sometimes just doing side stuff, which is cool. But also, I kind of knew there was a thing here. It'd be so much more interesting if I was out exploring and I'd be like, oh, what is that? what's going on over here, and then go do that.
Yeah.
Like, there's so like Red Dead is the prime example of that. That world is like, you going and just running into strangers. A dude comes running out of the bush and he's like, "Hey, get me out of these handcuffs," type thing. And you're like, all right. Or even going back further than that, man. Like Skyrim, the stuff that Skyrim would do with like you just wandering around, minding your own business. Yeah, a fucking talking dog walks up, and you're like, "What is this?" And then no one believes you when you tell them the story. But in Cyberpunk, it's all laid out bare for you, and you know from the get-go exactly where everything is, what you can be doing, and how hard it is. And so there's no like, well, I'll go explore this area of the town because I haven't been down here before. And that's maybe a mistake. Like, do the Ubisoft thing where they're like, do you want to play as exploration mode or adventurer? Like, give me the option. But they don't. And so it becomes like a chore list of like, here's all the things you could do. Good luck. Like, have fun. And I guess that's not the way I want to play.
It's such a terribly uninteresting use of the world they built. And this it just feels like there's so much fucking potential, and it's so wasted. It is devastating to me. I don't think they can patch this game into a state that makes it what a
benchmark or
it was going to be. Yeah.
Like,
there's no way you patch this into a state where it is anywhere near as good as The Witcher 3. It never ever comes close. I cannot The Witcher 3 set a standard, and this falls so fucking short, in my opinion. It's devastating.
There's definitely stuff in the story that is done better than in The Witcher, like the RPG-ness of it, the making your own decisions, and I guess the first example that we've seen was the one where you go looking for that little robot dog thing in the gang layer, because that they've shown that gameplay before, but like how that can unfold and play out depending on the decisions that you actually make. And a lot of that happens during I've seen it happen quite a lot in side missions as well, where there are important decisions that you can make which will change the outcome of the branching story. It's just, I guess, because we're sort of skirting around story elements, the way you can experience something could be completely different to what I did. Like, I just finished a mission where, how do I talk about this? Where I had an objective on the screen to do something, and I didn't do it, and I went and did something else that changed the outcome of that mission. And I don't know what happens if I would have just done the thing it told me to do.
Yeah.
Right? To give you an idea, the objective was leave the building. And I didn't do that. I went and did something else in the building that anyway, it changed like, I'm like, I don't know how this changed the story. Like, if I would have just left, what would have happened? And it wasn't until I went back and did something else, it was like, it came up on my screen being like, do this now. And so I'm wondering, is it just because we haven't seen those types of things and we just feel like it's a little bit more linear? Like, if I talk about a way that I completed a mission compared to what you did, are we going to have different stories to talk about? And I think that's the, like, I can see those bits in there. I can see seedings of that stuff happening.
But that's sort of what I'm talking about, is that I think the main story is fantastic, but I feel like the side stuff doesn't compare to what, like, that's the bar that I feel like they're failing to reach. The side stuff in The Witcher 3 is like the gold standard.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like Cyberpunk isn't coming close. I reckon I'm very keen for us to do a spoiler cast on the main story, because I definitely agree. I think that we will have different versions. I believe the ending is pretty locked in, but like how the journey, I think, will be quite different. And I think that'll be really interesting. but the side stuff is
there's side stuff that will do that. I think you just got to find it. Like those characters I was talking about, Pan Am and River, the Judy stuff. There are choices in some of that. The Delamain stuff, I don't know. There's nothing really there. It's kind of just like fetch quests, but there are sprinkles of it in the side stuff. It's just not as dominant as what's going on in the main story. And I
is there anything like the Bloody Baron? Anything come close to the Bloody Baron?
I don't know. I can't. I'd have to think about it a bit more.
Yeah.
There is some good things in there.
Right.
I just don't think it's as.
In my experience, the side stuff is like toyed with really interesting ideas and then just sort of cut off. And it feels like a metaphor for the rest of the Cyberpunk game, in that it's like, oh yeah, here's something really fucking interesting, and we're finished with it, and we're out of time. Like, fucking release it. Like, it's like so close. It's like on trending towards greatness, and it's like,
yeah. Because I don't think any of that stuff is like affecting things around it. It seems like contained. Like this is the story thread, and the choices that you make in that story thread will get you from one point to another. But it's not really affecting these other things that are around it. It's just sort of in its little bubble. I feel like that's kind of what they're doing. Like The Witcher didn't have a lot of. You made choices in that game, but it wasn't. Like it wasn't changing the world or anything like that. It was kind of just changing your storyline, and that's kind of what it feels like here a little bit. Like I said, I'd be keen to go back and play it with a completely different character and explore the options, playing it a different way and how that unfolds. But and then like talking to you guys about how it does go, like how the story does unfold, because I'm interested about like who is still around in your story and who is maybe gone in my story, and how did this mission play out and how did that play out, because you can see those things in there. It's just like without looking, because I haven't looked at it what anyone else is doing yet, but without seeing that stuff, it's kind of hard to tell. The other thing I wanted to, what else is there? I got my notes. Why is there genitals and pubic hair in this game?
Why?
Yeah, why? What is the point?
What does it add? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it was just a bit of a,
marketing spin.
Yep.
It's so strange to me that they put that in there and it's not used at all. Like as a thing. Like the Ken doll thing we were talking about, where my clothes have accidentally fallen off, but nothing's there anyway. It's just so weird. Like I saw, was it Lance, I think, posted a video or something where like the women's breast size don't matter because the clothes that they're wearing is like a default model anyway. And it's only until you take off like your clothing that it changes. And the only reason for that to happen is in the inventory screen. Like that's the only time you see yourself without any clothes on. It's just such a weird, like, why give me the option to make changes to things that aren't either in the story or like you're never going to see it? Like, what is the point in picking a fucking, the size of a penis size, or like what my pubic hair is going to look like if it's not there at all? It's just so strange. And the fact that they spent so much time like talking about it in marketing and things like that is really strange. What else can we talk about? I don't know, man. Like I feel it feels like I'm still enjoying the game. Like I don't think it's a bad game, despite all the bugs that I've had, because for the most part I've had a good time with it. For the majority of my time, 25 hours, whatever it was. It wasn't until things started to break down, and it still wasn't a huge problem for me. But it's not the game that we thought it was going to be. It's not changing open world RPGs for the future going forward, other than I think the city design and how that is sort of laid out, because I think it's a gorgeous looking game. but everything else is kind of very
If this had been released by fucking
like last year,
Joe Wood or some shit, or Cock Media or whatever the fuck, and anyone other than CD Projekt Red, you'd be like, yeah, this is some Eurojank RPG. It'd be like a sleeper cult hit for people who were like, this is such a goofy game. You can customize the size of your penis. It's got Eurojank all over the fucking place. It's got weirdly simulated sex scenes with Keanu Reeves for some reason. Like, you'd be like, all right, sounds interesting. People would like be talking about this game for the next decade. They'd be like, oh yeah, I want a Cyberpunk 2. And then Cyberpunk 2 would come out and 200,000 people would buy it and nobody else would. And those 200,000 people would be the most rabid fans of all time. They'd be like, fuck, yes! Yes, I love Cyberpunk! Fucking, I want to get fucking, like, the cops teleport behind you and it's genius. And, like, there'd be YouTube videos talking about how it's brilliant that the cars only exist when you're looking at them or some shit. And people be reading way too much into this shit. And, yeah, it'd be this crazy cycle. But instead, like, because, like, fucking, yeah, we're not supposed to fall prey to hype, right? We're not supposed to. No, gamers need to stop doing it, but you can't. You can't stop. People will always do it because the hype is half the fun. And Cyberpunk is a victim of its own fucking marketing success. If this game hadn't been made by the people who made Witcher 3, if this game hadn't been hyped up for fucking 12 years, if it hadn't hadn't spent all this time telling us that it was going to fucking revolutionize gaming, then it would have come and it would have gone and people would be like, yep, it does what it does, and some of that is pretty cool. But that's not what happened.
But it came out broken.
It came out so fucking broken. And yeah, I don't think it's a bad game, but I don't think it's a great game. There's parts of it where I'm like, this is a good game. There are times where I will go for like a 45-minute stretch and I'll be like, I can almost see this. I can almost see how this got 10s. And then something dumb will happen. Fucking a pedestrian will walk up through the fucking ground or some shit. I'm like, oh, right. Oh, yeah. Or, yeah, a car will teleport away in front of me, teleport into another car, and there'll be some sort of fucking horrific 2 cars driving along wherever the fuck. I'm like, yeah. Right. Or I will be driving somewhere, and despite, like, I pay more attention while driving in Cyberpunk than I did driving the 1,000 kilometers to fucking Brisbane last week, because you have to be on fucking point. Like, every single little decision you make. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm driving like with keyboard and mouse. I
fast travel a lot.
But there's never enough fast travel. Why can't I just fast travel to any fucking... Why do I have to go to a fucking point? Oh, that's aggravating. But yeah, I'll be driving, and I will... A slight lapse in attention will mean I will fucking overshoot a turn and wipe out like 3 pedestrians, and then all the cops will teleport in around me for my obvious deliberate murder. And I'll be like, yeah, right. This game kind of sucks sometimes. fucking sucks sometimes. Damn it. And yeah, it's just like, oh man, how is this game worse at things that Grand Theft Auto solved in GTA Vice City?
Yeah.
How is Vice City a better game? Right?
I wonder if this is just because
it
is just their first open world, first person sort of GTA thing. You know, how much is that is, I don't know, just people behind it, not management, not knowing how to do certain things, or yeah, it's hard to tell.
Biting off more than they can chew. Yeah, it's something, man. Yeah, I'm devastated. It's been a pretty rough couple of weeks for old Joab, I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
and
capping things off.
It's a pretty classic end 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm probably having a better time than you are. Just because I haven't had as many issues until recently. But yeah, absolutely, you can see a lot of its faults. I don't think it lived up to its promise at all.
No.
I guess it just makes me more excited for whatever Rockstar is doing next at this point, because clearly they are the masters at these open world RPG style games, or action games. So yeah, I mean, it could be good for them for CD Projekt to go back to The Witcher, because they're obviously going back to the Witcher genre after this. Maybe that'll set things straight, because they have lost basically all their good reputation from this launch. You're not gonna, like, next time they come out, everybody's going to be extremely skeptical with whatever they're showing. They're not going to get the sort of pass that they did this time, and like, they have to work their way back up to being the studio that we thought they were. They're the studio that released The Witcher 2 and 3 and sort of changed, made one of the best games of the generation. This is a far stretch from that. So yeah, kind of, it sucks quite a lot. But I'm going to keep playing. I'll, like I said, I think I'm pretty close to the end. I want to get through some more side stuff.
For the story.
Yeah.
I think the main story is fantastic. And if I ever find Pan Am or whatever the fuck you're talking about, then I will be very excited to dig into that. But yeah, this holy fuck, it came out of the oven way too early, way too soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait. Yeah.
All right, should we do some news then? I think
let's do it.
Yeah, I think that is everything. How we work from time? 2:15. All right. The Game Awards. Did you get a chance to watch this? It sounds like you did. Did you watch all of it?
Not all of it. I was drinking.
Yeah, you were on a camping trip or something, right?
Just on a getaway.
Yeah.
I was at a house on a lake.
Yeah, with Nate.
With Nate. We turned it into a drinking game.
Oh.
So I don't really remember the end. Basically, the drinking game was you had to guess what was going to win,
okay.
And if you successfully guessed, you got to pick first next time, and then everyone else, after you picked, everyone else just yelled, and whoever got it wrong pretty much had to drink. So
it sounds like you lost quite a lot.
I think it was pretty even. I think everyone came out. But like, because there was four of us, because it was me and Nate and my wife and his girlfriend, and yeah, because there was four of us, there were like 3 opportunities for you to lose, and anyway, so I don't really remember the end of it, but it seemed good. What I recall, there's some cool stuff.
Yeah. Bunch of reveals, which we'll probably go through. Starting at, let's go Mass Effect. New Mass Effect games coming out from BioWare, which we talked about last week. So Casey Hudson and who's the other person? Mark Dara, the executive producer on the upcoming Dragon Age game. Anyway, so they showed off new Mass Effect. Looks like it's going to be set in the original Mass Effect universe or continuation from that game. Obviously, Andromeda didn't do that well. It had a bit of a rocky launch, a lot of bugs, and they kind of distanced themselves from that Mass Effect game. They eventually fixed a lot of those issues, but it's obviously not as well loved as the original trilogy with Shepard. So, yeah, this is back in that universe. Is that something that you're more interested in now that they've gone back?
To be honest, this feels like a bit of a fucking cop out. I don't like it wasn't the departure from the Shepard universe that had me uninterested in Andromeda. It was the fucking Cyberpunk-esque bugginess of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this like flipping and flopping back to the old universe feels like a cop out. Feels like they're fucking chickened out, and yeah, I'm not about that. What about you? What do you think?
I mean, I'm definitely more invested in those characters than whatever happened in Andromeda. I can't even remember, but I don't know. Like, do you think it's going to go back to? Is it a new crew? Because they showed off. Was it Liara?
Yeah, but like, can't those whatever fucking race she is, don't they live hundreds and hundreds of years or some shit longer than humans?
Or maybe it is tied to both games.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so I don't know.
Okay, let's go back to the planet Joab, possibly.
Planet Joab,
which
what if it's just set on that planet and that's it?
Genius.
Yeah. Mass Effect Joab.
Finally.
Let's go on. Crimson Desert is also a game they showed a lot of. This trailer went forever. Like 5 minutes or something crazy I felt like it was going for. This is the like medieval fantasy destructibility going on. It looked interesting. What was your sort of takeaway from that?
There was a Shrek in it. I specifically recall there being a fucking Shrek.
An ogre.
Like, no, he looks like Shrek. He doesn't look like a fucking ogre. He looks like Shrek.
Okay.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because nobody's mentioning the fucking Shrek.
But
there's a Shrek. All right, I'm fucking take a screenshot of it so you can fucking see him. There he is. Look at this motherfucker. I'll chuck it in the gap. Discord.
Okay, I can't look. Anyway, there's some stuff in there that looked quite interesting with the what they're doing with damage and that sort of stuff, but I'd have to go back and watch it a bit more. Yeah, that's an ogre. That's an orc.
That's Shrek. Get out of my phone. Ludicrous. Yeah, no, I don't know. This fucking video went on and on and on, and we were like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, why? Yeah, it went too long.
The combat looks just awful. It looks so bad, and they showed so much of it.
Yeah,
holy shit!
Somebody has too much money. Next up was Evil Dead the game. It looks like it's a co-op / PvP game. I don't know. I'm not holding out for a movie tie-in game of something that's an old movie, like a very old movie. It seems like a weird thing to announce.
Was it Bruce Campbell doing the voice? Because it didn't really sound like it.
It was his face, but
yeah,
I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, he's in Dead by Daylight. If you want to play a good survival co-op game, there's one for you. He's in that. Anyway, we'll see what that's all about. Next up, we had Arc 2 featuring Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
He's also like some sort of creative. I don't think he is, but apparently he's played a lot of Ark, the original game, and so they brought him in as a developer as well. Whether or not that's just more marketing spin, who knows? But he's a main character or the main face of the game, which is very strange. I didn't play Ark, so I don't really have much thoughts on this one. What about you?
All I could think about was Finn's looking pretty flabby in that game, eh? Like, what's going on, mate? Like, you couldn't get him to sculpt you some abs, mate? Sort it out. Fuck Ark. Fuck Ark is what I think. Fuck those developers with their fucking shitty-ass pirate game that dumped me in the fucking ocean. Shithole game. Fuck that.
Which one was that?
Whatever it was called, the fucking pirate one.
The recent one.
Pirate game. Let's see. Ark Devs Pirates game. Ark Pirate MMO Atlas.
Yeah.
Game.
Right. Anyway, that's maybe a little bit off, but we'll see if his producing chops of Vin Diesel is any good. Next up, we got the Callisto Protocol, which is the new PUBG universe game that's set in space.
What the fuck?
Because I think we talked about this last week, Kleb and I, that this was going to be teased. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And it's basically Glenn Schofield's new studio. It's a PUBG owned studio. For people that aren't familiar with him, he is a Dead Space developer. He also worked on the Modern Warfare games, some of the Call of Duty games. And he's heading up this new project, which is supposed to be set in the PUBG universe. It's a narrative game, and then they showed it, and I'm like, this doesn't look like a thing set in the PUBG world. It must have just been a mistake, because it had like aliens, and it was set on like a different planet, like a moon somewhere. It looked like a horror survival game or something like that. And so I was like, oh, yeah, cool. And then it came out later on that, no, this is actually set in the PUBG universe. And you're just like, what? How? So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. It's very strange. What do you think?
Yep. I'm very confused, but Schofield has a pretty good track record, so I'm interested.
Yeah. I mean, if he wants to make a new Dead Space game, go nuts. I'm there for it. Absolutely. Next up, we have Back 4 Blood, release date 22nd of June. We're in the alpha, Joab.
We're in the alpha.
Yeah.
Thanks to Luke, because I didn't get in naturally, but you got some extra fucking codes, like a fucking genius.
So I think this starts like tomorrow. We can jump in and play a bit. It's from Turtle Rock, the developers of Left 4 Dead, who made what was the other game they made after that wasn't very good? Evolve, right? It did not do well. So they're going back to their roots of making a zombie co-op game, and I don't know, man. Looks good from what I've seen so far. So I'm definitely interested. We never got Left 4 Dead 3. You and I went back recently, played some Left 4 Dead. So I'm in. I'm keen to see what this team has done and how they're gonna evolve that genre. It looks like they've got loot and different types of gear in there, ranked gear. So yeah, I'm keen. And then last up, we've got a new Perfect Dark game is coming out. This has been rumored for quite a while now, so it's not too much of a surprise. But people out there like Perfect Dark, they got what they wanted. Didn't really see much though. It's just
no, I didn't really get a lot out of this. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I'm not like champing at the bit for it, but I'll check it out.
Yeah. I'm keen to see. I feel like they haven't done much recently. Well, I guess they've done nothing, right? It's a brand new studio, but I'm still sort of interested to see what they can make, because they got some big names behind them. So, and especially Microsoft supporting them, it seems like there's something they'll put a lot of money into. So I don't know. I'm just not that attached to Perfect Dark. I played the original on it was N64 back in the day, and that was the only one I really played. So yeah, it was fine.
Well, the other one was travesty, wasn't it? Perfect Dark Zero, wasn't it a fucking train wreck?
I can't remember. It was an Xbox game, wasn't
it? Yeah, like a launch or something.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly, and it was not good.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. That was the Game Awards. Any other highlights that you can think of? Any surprises?
No, not that I recall. Disco Elysium boxed like a director's cut or something. I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yep.
What was the other one? Near Replicants. Mm-hmm. Was this? I think it was in the pre-show, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I didn't watch the pre-show.
Right. Yeah, pretty interested in that. And what the dude who made fucking
A Way Out?
A Way Out.
Yeah.
His game actually looks halfway interesting.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't convinced, but yeah.
Joseph Fares.
Right. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll check it out. Yeah. Cool. That's about it.
Yep. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, that was the Game Awards. Yeah, I don't know. I thought they did pretty good considering that they were very limited in what they could do. A lot of, I guess we talked about it last week, like Tom Holland, Gal Gadot, Brie Larson, Stephen A. Smith was there. Nolan North announced the Game of the Year. They got some big people in for that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, good on him. He's doing some cool stuff. So let's keep moving on here. We've got some Nvidia news. They've attempted to blacklist Hardware Unboxed, who is an Australian tech review YouTube channel. And in doing so, they basically were going to not give them Founders Edition cards for certain Nvidia hardware. And after they put out basically they put out the email they received from the global PR of Nvidia, saying that they had been sort of blacklisted. Not like they haven't said you've been blacklisted, just more of like, hey, you're not getting our hardware because you've done a bad job reviewing our other hardware. Yeah. Just really poorly worded, written letter, and in doing so, copped a lot of flack. Like some really big YouTubers came to his support, and stepped up and basically called out Nvidia for doing this. And what, like 3 days later, Nvidia turned around and retracted their statement. They sent a follow-up email saying they were sorry and then they wouldn't be doing this. But I think the gist of it is that it shouldn't have happened in the first place, right? This shouldn't have been an issue. And it all came down to, I mean, I don't know if you watched any of his videos, but he seems to think it is a personal attack on him from a PR person and not really anything to do with his work, because he basically laid out, like, here is all the reviews we've done and we haven't been negative about it. Like, we've reviewed this stuff as a reviewer. And quite frankly, like, he's like, I feel like that some of these other sites have been way more negative than what we have about it. And like, here's all the stuff we've said. Like, here's a quote from our review on Nvidia's website right now talking about this product. And so he wasn't really sure as to why this happened, but he had an inkling that it was a personal attack and nothing to do with the way they were reviewing stuff. So it's a really strange situation, something that never should have happened. Like trying to get reviewers to talk about your product positively and threatening them with removing access to certain things is not a good way to go about it at all. Like, we see this stuff sometimes. Not a lot anymore. Used to happen quite a lot.
Yeah, like it's well, I think they're waking up to how easily it can get shared around and stuff. Now you just don't get the game until an hour before it launches.
Yeah. If you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, which is cooked. Yeah. This whole situation was fucked. Like, the idea that you can only review their cards in a certain way. They don't get to say that. That's not how fucking reviews work. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Yeah, people are right to fucking revolt over this shit. And yeah, it was really shitty. I'm glad they fucking capitulated eventually.
Yeah,
But, like you said, it shouldn't happen in the first place.
Their main point about this was that they'd been led to aware that their reviews focused too much on rasterization, like rendering and things like that, as opposed to ray tracing, which is what the the 2000 series and the 3000 series cards are doing. But I think his point,
the accusation, the unspoken accusation, is that like benefits AMD more, but you're under no obligation to review a card in a way that like benefits Nvidia more. Like,
right.
It only benefits AMD more because it doesn't highlight the thing that Nvidia is basically untouchable on. You know?
Yeah. And I think they were making the remarks that yes, ray tracing is a thing, but also it's very limited in terms of what games are using it, and also it costs a lot of performance. And so you can weigh up those options. And so when that hardware was announced and revealed and it came out, there were games like Battlefield that had it, but it was like chewing up the amount of performance that it would take. And it wasn't until games like Control came along with DLSS support that you could take advantage of this new technology and have it run well. And it's still at this day, like, I don't have ray traced reflections on in Cyberpunk, and I have a ridiculously expensive computer that is like a 2-year-old graphics card with a 1-year-old CPU and a stack of RAM and all that sort of stuff, and I can't run some of that stuff on the game because it just tanks it. But yeah, and basically that's the point they're making, is that this stuff is available, but it's not available everywhere. And when it is available, it takes a huge hit to the what you can do with those cards. And so, is it worth it in the end, or do you just go with the pretty game, high frame rate? But for whatever reason, Nvidia wasn't appreciative of those comments and decided to try and stop him from doing that. At the end of the day, I think he was basically saying that, like, we don't need Nvidia because we can buy this stuff ourselves. We make enough money to do it, and we can also get it from partners. Like, we just won't cover Founders Editions. So after places like Linus Tech Tips stepped up and backed him up, and a bunch of other people, Nvidia turned around and backtracked on it, which, like we said, shouldn't happen in the first place. It's dumb. It's completely dumb. All right. And the last piece of news we've got here is EA has swooped in, and at the moment they bought up Codemasters for $1.2 billion. We talked about this story a few weeks back where Take-Two was in the front runners for purchasing Codemasters for $1 billion. Does this make you feel better or worse that EA is now in front as opposed to Take-Two?
It's about the same, isn't it? About the same, in my opinion. like neither like yeah. Either way, we were going to wind up with a bunch of fucking, I don't know, some sort of my team racing game, right? F1, where you open a card pack and get new wheels, some shit,
new wheels, and some. You've got a new exhaust pipe, new wing on the back of the car, a gold wing.
Gold wing. You can only use it for 4 games.
Yeah, four laps. Yeah.
It's about the same, isn't it? I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that there's such a bidding war for Cody's, but yeah,
I don't think they care at this point. They're probably pretty happy with this.
Just as long as EA makes a new fucking Micro Machines game, that's all I give a fuck about. Just do it. Just fucking do it.
Maybe that's what they're doing. All right, that is the news. Unless there's anything you want to bring up at the last minute. Anything's happened while we've been recording? I don't know. I haven't really paid attention. Are people angry at something else now? What is going on?
I don't know.
Yeah. Monster Train is now available on Windows 10, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and included in Game Pass. There you go.
Ooh,
Major Nelson just tweeted that 2 minutes ago.
2 minutes ago. Nice.
Breaking news. First ones. All right.
Woo!
Great game. Should definitely play that. That is the news. Have we got any questions for this week? I think we might.
Do? Oh my god, it's Heath. Fuck. All right, Kleb's first. Clemorbany is up first. Hello, Luke, and welcome back, Joab. Hope your visit to Queensland went okay, all things considered. Thanks. First of all, I'd like to say thanks for having me on the podcast last week. I had a lot of fun, and listening back to it wasn't half as awkward as I'd expected. Where I did fall short was in my knowledge, or lack thereof, of TV shows, namely The Sopranos and The Simpsons. What knowledge or skills have come in handy for you guys that you didn't expect you'd need for a podcast about video games? One thing that I am surprised that I don't need is any skill in audio editing, because Luke does it all, so that's pretty good. That makes things pretty easy on me. Otherwise, the technical know-how to actually get this across the line is higher than I genuinely expected it to be. I don't know why, but it's tougher than I would immediately expect, which I think is a bit weird. But like having in-depth reference, like you got to have a deep repository of references. Just in general, Club. Up your game, mate. Because that's you like how do you not recognize a fucking Simpsons reference? Well, we were listening to the podcast while driving back from Queensland, and my wife lost her shit at Joju. She's been calling me Joju for like the last fucking week. So
it's stuck.
What about you, Luke? Any unexpected?
I don't have any
knowledge.
Because I think the skills you're talking about with editing and audio and all that, like that's just something that I just learned. Like I just picked it up and was like, we need to slap this together. Well, what do I do? Yeah.
True.
And then from the podcasting side, like for me, it's just talking about the stuff that I know, because I don't think that's hard for anybody. Like, I guess the advantage of it.
No, you don't think it's hard for anyone. Some people cannot do it. Like,
no, I mean
flat out cannot do it.
What I mean is that anybody can go on and do their own podcast. It's just depending on how much detail or depth you want into it. Like you could have someone that's never played video games before and then start talking about the games they've played, and just go from there. Whereas you and I have like 30 years worth of fucking back order on video games that we've played, and so we can refer back to that sort of stuff. And so I feel like our knowledge is pretty good, and we play a lot as it is. Like I would assume that you and I are we play a lot of video games, like a lot compared to most people in the industry. I don't think I have any skills. Like I'm very much an introvert, and so I shouldn't be on a podcast as it is. But here we are. Like I'm not a talkative person, but this is what we do. So I'm happy to talk about games.
Yep. Good question. All right. Heath has written a fucking novel. I'm surprised he didn't go over the limit. Heathy writes, "Hi Luke. Hi new Kleb. Nice. I have a movie idea and I want to write and buy some people whose opinion I respect. Before I do that, I'll pitch it to you guys." Nice. So it's a superhero movie. It's a superhero movie, of course. Our hero can see something akin to a person's aura. He can tell their nature, their mood, if they're up to no good, fancy stuff like that. The catch is he's colorblind, of course.
Like Daredevil. Like it's getting close to Daredevil. Like he can see people's auras.
So more often than not, he gets it wrong, sending many innocent people to jail or to the shadow realm, depending on how reckless he's feeling on that day. Think John Kelly from Without Remorse has no problem killing bad guys if he thinks it's for the greater good. But wait, we need to go deeper. No one knows he's colorblind, so they just take him at his word. Slightly deeper still, he doesn't know he's colorblind. He's never been tested. Now, where is he getting? Now, here's where I'm getting a little undecided. I'm throwing around two different end games. The first is that he's working for the head bad guy, like the mayor or district attorney, someone in a position of power using him to wreak havoc and do their bidding. They somehow know of his condition and exploit it to their benefit. But he believes that because of who he's answering to, he's doing the right thing. The alternative option is that he's actually evil. He just doesn't realize it. He looks in the mirror and sees his own aura, but because he's seeing a false color, he believes he's doing good and doing the right thing. In the end, I don't know if he should die, be defeated, found to be what he is and imprisoned, or win, whether it be that he overthrows the head bad guy and becomes the new head, or in the case of him being evil, realizes what he is and embraces it. What do you guys think? Thoughts, Luke?
I phased out like halfway through that.
Good effort, Luke. I reckon you got to do it like what was that Gerard Butler movie, Law Abiding Citizen? Right, you got to do it like that, where he knows he doesn't know he's evil. Right, you got to have him win in the end. Where like Law Abiding Citizen meets Shutter Island, where at the end he realizes he's evil.
He's the bad
guy. He's the bad guy, and he has to, and he sort of like has to make a decision whether or not he turns himself in or he like just continues being the bad guy. And like in Shutter Island, you had to have him like decide that he wants to, he'd rather go on doing what he believes to be right, just because he believes like that's the only way he can live with himself. If he tricks himself into thinking he like is still the good guy, that's how I reckon you run that one. I would watch this movie. I reckon if you did it where you did it with really muted colors the whole time, and so like the viewer had a warped idea of the colors as well, and you could do it like sometimes when he's not in the scene, like have him go meet the district attorney or some shit, and when he leaves the room the colors like shift and you can see the actual colors, and like the viewer would have, and then when he's like, whenever he's on screen or in that room, you have the colors all muted, and when he's away, you have the colors shift to be what they actually are.
Yeah.
To give the viewer the same experience that he has, and I reckon that'd be pretty fucking cool. I reckon that'd be
What is the narrative reason behind this world having no mirrors?
No mirrors? Why? What are you talking about? Why does it not have a mirror?
He said that he eventually looks in a mirror and realizes that his own aura is a different color.
No, he doesn't realize. He doesn't know he's colorblind. So when he looks in the mirror, right, it's red or brown or whatever the fuck. And he's like, oh, brown is good, but he doesn't realize that it's actually a red aura, which is a bad aura or some shit. Yeah,
right.
I believe. It's the barest pretense for a question, but I liked it all the same.
And it's
better than me last week when I failed to ask a question.
Yeah.
And didn't realize until it was too late. Shameful display, Joab. Frisco writes, Cyberpunk, why is potion spam still a thing in 22? Holy fuck, I forgot about this, but it has been driving me fucking bananas. I've got like 1 billion of these fucking potions. I have
so many.
Oh my god. What the fuck is the point of them? I don't understand. Like, yeah, I only ever pop. Oh, also, you can't fucking pop them when you're in a car, which is dumb. So if you get shot while you're in a car, you just sort of like have to pray you don't get shot again. But man, oh yeah, why indeed, Frisco? I don't know. I hate it.
I rocked the like not very good ones that give you like 30% health back, but then give you 5% health every like 2 seconds for another 30 seconds. Because why pop the one that gives you 40% health when you could get all your health back? I don't know. It just seems silly. So I've got like 300 of them. For whatever reason, there's so many health in this. Yeah,
there's so many. It's utterly pointless.
And most of the time when you die, you don't have the opportunity to use them because you're dead. Because you get like 3 shots, and you're like, all right, I guess I'm dead now.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Thanks for bringing that back up, Frisco.
Clubomedy writes, which game had the worst launch? Fallout 76, Anthem, or Cyberpunk 2077? Damn.
Ooh, I think Anthem still.
You reckon Anthem?
Well, Cyberpunk broke a fucking record on Steam, so
that is true.
They don't give a shit as long as they sold it.
They made that money.
Fallout
76, I believe, made that money as well. Anthem, however, I do not think made that money.
They are still making that game.
Yeah.
They made back development costs of Cyberpunk the day the game was released. They made back their development costs.
Develop and marketing costs.
And marketing, yeah.
Which
I think they're pretty okay with that.
That's a big chunk of change.
In terms of hype, I'm guessing Cyberpunk, but my biggest disappointment, maybe, because I didn't play.
I think for Anthem and Fallout, you sort of saw it coming a little way out, but they played Cyberpunk real close to the chest, like real close to the chest. Yeah. Yikers. All right, good question.
Yeah.
Good questions. Yes.
All right. That is the show. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, I don't know, everywhere else that you can find your podcast from. We're on there. You can search for The Gap, the GA Podcast. Please rate and review the show if you have a moment. It helps other people find us. If you would like to send us questions, you can email us, thegapodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord. It'll take you to our Discord channel. You can leave us questions. You can jump in the general chat, talk about what you're playing at the moment. And then there's voice channels in there. You can jump in and play some Back for Blood if you got in. We'll be on there this weekend.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some Warzone. I think we're probably jumping back into Warzone pretty soon. New map dropped, new season
100%.
dropped.
Yeah.
Very keen for that. So go check that out. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/the GA podcast, twitter.com/the GA podcast. You can go to our YouTube page, gapodcast.com/YouTube. You can watch the podcast in video form. I didn't record any footage of Cyberpunk this week except for bugs. So maybe I just chucked them up. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to be on there. I think Joab's going to maybe put the interview up. He'll probably send that to me. And I'll chuck that in there with Kareem and Catherine. So, yeah, go have a look at that one. You can also go to our website, thegapodcast.com. It's got links to all our previous episodes, including all the things we just talked about just then, in case you're not sure what they are. And that is all thanks to our Patreon members who help keep the website going. If you would like to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/thega podcast, become a monthly subscriber, get the podcast a little bit early. And thank you, everyone does that. Really appreciate your support. What else we got here? Yeah, I think that is it. Anything you want to pimp out you've been doing for this week?
No. I think I'm nearly wrapped for the year, pretty much. Right. Yeah, obviously I was traveling all last week, and so I didn't really get to do much of anything. But yeah. Anything you got, Luke?
You can go to Stevivor.com, check out the recurring Game of the Year awards. I think, what was today? Today was, I think, Best Indie. And Best Ongoing Game. Best Indie was today. So you can go have a look at those. They're going up pretty much every day of the work week up until next week, I think, sometime. So, yeah, go check out those things. Otherwise, twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, Lawre. Joab's Joby Jojo.
Joby Jojo. You should head to my some of my fucking roasts of Cyberpunk have been so fucking good. They don't get enough love. Fuck, I've been on point roasting that game. God damn it. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Hilarious shit.
Anyway, that is it for this week. We'll be back next week with our Game of the Year show. Big one. Probably go for a couple hours in true Gap fashion. But yeah, we'll be talking about our favorite games of the year. Maybe if you've got one, leave it in the questions. Let us know what you think about your favorite game, what's your favorite game, and we'll try and go through some of those. And yeah, I guess we'll be back next week. Big show. See you then.